In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panthers fans? I'll tell you what the deal is. Awfulness is the deal. You're listening to the C3 Panthers post-game show, Patriots at Panthers post-game show, where my name's Tony Dunn. I'm the host of this disaster of a therapy session that's about to approach us. I just want to say there's only one good thing, Cody, that came out of this game. It was short. It was like a shorter game. The time they just let as DJ Moore was out there dying because he got lit up, they just let that clock run, and I was fine with it. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing okay. Listen, I'm one of those types of guys who, once I feel like I can see the inevitable in what's laid out in front of me, I'm like, dude, let's just swallow the tough pill right away. Listen, we have so much to talk about, so much to go over. Sam Darnold played absolutely terrible. Our offensive line is a banged-up joke. Christian McCaffrey, he runs with that same aggression, but even he didn't have a great day today. Brian Burns limped off the football field. Tony Dunn, the only good thing about Sundays is that we get to have these therapy sessions where we get to come on YouTube with the most lit Panther fans and vent and have therapy and discuss this Panther football team. You know them, you love them. I'm talking about AJ Lindsey, Hunter York, Jorge Marcelo, Kegofort, Mike Aldridge, Mr. Gemini, Panther fan Stan, Ross Gold, Sarah Taylor, Scott Yang, Sideshow Rob, the Sports Blitz, Underground Wes, Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
We've witnessed two of the worst games in Panthers history in this single season. The Giants game, which I have an argument for it being the worst performance by a Panthers team ever. But now that I go and look at this game, it is going to be right up there. And I've been going through all the games, guys, from our past history of trying to find the worst performance. And the only one right now, the only reason I say the Giants might be it, because they're not, maybe the Patriots are a little bit better team than they are. Anyway.
I mean, they had everybody that was healthy. We went up against the Giants with barely anyone. So yeah. I mean,
and they were hurt too. Good God. This was tough. Cody, it was so bad when I think about this in the context of Panthers history as two of the single worst games. Not just bad games, two of the single worst games in Panthers history. It's in Matt Rule's second year, and I thought, man, there was going to be, no matter what happened this year, he would not be on the hot seat. But I don't even know right now. It's like I can't find any reason to praise or not to even have give him the benefit of the doubt at this point, Cody.
So the one little shining glimmer that you should be able to take out of this entire thing is that David Tepper has to sleep in the bed that he made, dude. This is what it is. The trade deadline has come and gone. There's no more Deshaun Watson rumors this season, so he can't throw a temper tantrum and demand another quarterback. Listen, he has to live with this. These are the decisions that he made. I think I'm not alone in saying that a lot of the decisions that have been made are coming home to roost, and they feel pretty bad. Shout out to the Sports Blitz for the 199. He says only one touchdown in 12 quarters. And we're abysmal right now, man. The Carolina Panthers are a very bad insert here. Offensive line, very bad quarterback. We're very poorly coached. Our defense starts out playing strong, but even then they start to crack and crumble and fold.
They gave up a billion yards on the ground today, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was when it rains, it pours. and today it poured on Bank of America Stadium with the New England Patriots and a bunch of Patriots fans that once again filled up our entire stadium.
Oh man, I tell you, it was loud. CK, is there? Gosh, I don't even know how to deal and process with such a loss like this.
It's hard.
Do you? I mean, it's just like towel throw in time, isn't it?
I mean, listen, it's hard to say it's not, right? I mean, you've been dealing with these continuous issues, and you know, like I said, I'm not going to say I've been a defender of Sam Darnold, but I've been one who has been very clearly not putting everything on his shoulders. And I'll be the first to say it. This was Sam Darnold was equally responsible for this loss as Joe Brady and as this offensive line and as our wide receivers are. This was a poor performance as a whole from our entire offense. And I think at the end of the day, this needs to indicate that somebody needs to go. This is the Washington Redskins game that we had when Ron Rivera was fired. We need to make some moves. And somebody had said there was a couple of people that made some connections that, you know, Matt Rule and Joe Brady do not mesh together. Like their style of play does not go hand in hand. And so I think there's a collective failure on everybody's part. You know, Robbie Anderson can be as pissed off as he wants there, but Robbie Anderson has been an equal part of why this offense has not been good either. There has not been a single shining star. Christian McCaffrey came in and was able to pick up kind of where he left off. But outside of that, this offense has been abysmal.
Cody, I got you right here. Have you seen this angle? Look at this. Like, I wonder what he says. All right. Let me ask you this, Greg, the Bat Daddy. Is the scariest part about this this type of loss is that it's so bad that fans are hitting the precipice of apathy, of just simply, you know, like, I mean, ready. I mean, I was ready to change channel.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly kind of just lost interest in the game. I think, you know, I walked away for a little while. I came back and I noticed there was right at the 2-minute warning. We still had 2 timeouts and they're taking a knee. We'd just given up. Like, and I get we're not going to win the game, but both teams just decided, all right, we're done playing. You know,
it seemed like the Panthers wanted to go home early.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm talking early. Like, I did stop watching the game. Like, I had it on.
I started watching the Dallas
It was
game.
on in my house, but I completely stopped watching it after like the second Darnold pick, you know, or whatever it was. Like, I mean, they were just, I think it was the Collins one, right? When he jumped up and grabbed this with his fingertips. First of all, that shows you how athletic that dude is. That he can make a play like that. It also shows you how bad everybody else is too, because like if you look at it, I didn't even see a receiver back there. I didn't know who he was throwing to when they showed the angle. Maybe it was coming, maybe it wasn't. And Sam Darnold was getting these passes batted down like crazy all day today. I mean, you would think he would be looking for that a little bit and trying to find the passing windows.
You know,
no. It was terrible.
But I do, and this is where listen, I'm not going to be a defender of Sam Darnold today. He made some poor decisions, at least on 2 of those interceptions. But it is clear, and you heard it on the broadcast, like when you have that many balls defended at the line, that's not an issue of the quarterback. That's an issue of the offensive line. Like that is 100% on them. And that's why
I think it's on everybody. Batted balls. I think you got to find the windows, but he was under duress, and it wasn't like early on when this game was not out of hand. CK, is that right? Whenever we would try to set up a passing play in the most boring offensive play calling in the history of the world, you go and you like play action. It looks like you play before he even turned around. There were 2 or 3 free rushers coming at him.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like last week, we were very much praising Joe Brady and what he did. Like he played it. He called a game that was different, right? Well, the problem is I think that praise went to his head because he called the exact same game this week that he called last week. Like no difference. Like just bootlegs and play action, which is what you want to do, but you can't play the exact same style of game.
Cody is burping on him.
Yeah, because it's the energy that I have at G Baby in the fucking chat room saying that I signed off on Sam Darnold, dude. One, no, I fucking didn't. All I did was what any reasonable Panther fan wanted to do at the time and have a hope of optimism about the football team and believe that maybe we might be able to turn him around. Let me tell you what, if Cody Lashley is the general manager for the Carolina Panthers, we're not going to get Sam fucking Darnold, dude.
I mean, there was
so
Justin
you can talk
Fields,
all you
anybody,
want, G baby, but call in, bitch, leave 5 or 6 calls about how I'm terrible. Who gives a fucking shit, dude? Matt Rule and whoever made the decisions on Sam Darnold, they need to be shooting themselves in the fucking foot. Because now here we are. We still need offensive line. We still need all kinds of depth at the linebacker and the safety position. And yet, here we are having to wonder about the quarterback position going forward. And then if you're going to bring in another quarterback next year, that means we're not going to be a contender next year either if we're having to teach a brand new quarterback an entirely new system. David Tepper and Matt Rule have completely fucked up this rebuild to the point that we might have to redo this whole fucking thing. It's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to get it off my chest, man. That's what this is for, bro.
You're listening to the C3 post-game show. Go ahead and do us a solid. Smash the thumbs up button. Share the link with a friend. Check us out the following day in the audio podcast version on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. We're dropping a lot of content throughout the week, not just the post game. We got the Tuesday night show. We got a good week ahead of us, even though it's a bad Panthers game to play. But we're gonna have some good guests. We got Ed Smith to help us preview. Former Cardinals linebacker, been on the show several times, is helping us preview the Cardinals game, which I expect to be a bloodbath at this point. And then on Wednesday, with the beat check. Not only do Cody and I film Debate My Take, but we have a good edition of the Beat Check this week. The famous, the one and only, the guy who asked the hardest hitting questions in those pressers, and I expect some hard ones from him this week, David Newton, joining the C3 Beat Check. So the Panthers, you might not be excited about the Panthers, but get excited about the work we're putting in here for the C3 Panthers podcast. You can call it. You can call into the show today at 252-228-5098. When you say that David Tepper and them have completely fucked this rebuild, it goes back, I think, to winning that Washington game last season and putting us out of range to really do what you need to do when you're a team without a quarterback. Or without a quarterback you believe in.
Yep.
And you can say that, hey, I mean, and I am a Teddy Bridgewater hater, but I tell you this, we would be better. We would be much better with Teddy Bridgewater this year. We still wouldn't be good enough to where I want us to be.
Better. I don't think we would. I don't think we'd have a better record. But I'll tell you what. The thing is that Teddy Bridgewater didn't throw as many interceptions as Sam Darnold does, and Teddy Bridgewater, to be fair, has played the exact same game that Sam Darnold played this year, which is not getting the ball down the field. That was one of the things we had a criticism about with Teddy Bridgewater. Nobody's talking about that shit right now. Sam Darnold isn't throwing the ball past 15 yards. Granted, he doesn't have time. And yes, I think it is clear that this offensive line took a major step backwards this year. Like, we thought it was bad last year.
Oh, no. It is gone. Yeah, it is going backwards. Quarterback play is going backwards. Offensive line play is going backwards.
And wide receiver play is going backwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I got lots of questions about that, but I will disagree about the Teddy Bridgewater not being significantly better. I think our record would be better. I mean, like to the tune of 20%. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 2 games out there that we could have maybe won if he was in there. I mean, maybe that one with the Sam Darnold comeback in. Who was that we came back against? No, we still lost that game. I was on was that the Eagles? Who was it? Where they had the fourth quarter overtime and we lost? Remember, Minnesota. He had a 95. Oh yeah, Minnesota.
Almost out. Yeah, almost out.
So I don't know.
Here's the real question.
I think we would be better.
Here's the real question now. Right? Like, we've had, like, Nova Black, for instance, he is 100% all in on PJ Walker. I still think that regardless, this game is the exact same outcome, if not worse, because, you know, PJ Walker is a turnover machine just as well. But he has a point. Like, PJ Walker hasn't had an opportunity to get better week over week to get the experience in an NFL game. He's played one full game, and that's really the extent of his experience. So, I mean, there is still value in that, and Nova Black doesn't have a bad take on that. But my question is, as Panthers fans, what do we do? Do we continue to ride the wave as it is and continue to just have something to bitch about every week with Sam Darnold? Or do we just hope that PJ Walker comes in, and if he is just as bad, at least it'll be more exciting because he's heaving that ball down the field? Or are we trying to bring somebody in? This isn't a lost season as much as we want to believe it is. The Saints lost today, right? The Falcons are
what?
It's not the season's not lost entirely.
Yes, it is.
You might be on an island there, brother.
No. Listen, I'm talking about from a pure mathematical standpoint. Let's talk about it. Right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-2. Right, and they've lost the division match already against the Saints. The Saints lost today against the Atlanta Falcons. Who's the only undefeated division team in the NFC? It's the Panthers. And so if we can win all of our NFC South division and they continue to have some things go our way, there's still a possibility. But that's where my question is.
To get embarrassed, like imagine if you did make the playoffs and then you just got smoked like this.
Right. Then you're putting yourself in a position where you're losing more, right? So that's where my question really lies. I mean, if do we continue to move forward with PJ Walker, hoping we are not that good, or do we try to sign a free agent that might be a quarterback that could be could be an upgrade for us?
Well, the fact of the matter is, we don't necessarily know at this point that PJ Walker is a lot worse than Sam Darnold.
Right.
I mean, and listen, even I'll say this, dude, Teddy Bridgewater, he was never going to be the answer. But, dude, he is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Right.
I mean, dude, he was the amount of chances that Sam Darnold takes on plays that have just no point. They're far too high, man.
Right.
But my other thing is, who are you going to take over? Or, like, who are you going to invite in here to take over?
That's what I'm
Cam
wondering.
Newton? Cam Newton is going to die behind this offensive line. And then it's going to take him a while.
He would actually be good. I don't even. We can't say. We're not allowed to say his name on the podcast.
But no, we are. We are.
My point is that there's no one that you're going to bring in right now to salvage this football team. We don't even know how hurt Brian Burns is.
So let me ask you this: why are we putting? I mean, again, I am right there on this train. If you're saying there is no quarterback that could be able to fix this situation right now, then why the fuck are we putting this all on Sam Darnold's legs then? Right? Why are we putting everything
First,
on
I
his
disagree
back?
with I disagree with Cody. I disagree with Cody. Is that like, I mean, if Cam Newton, the man we can't say his name,
Cam Newton,
always have a fight. We have a fight. We would have a chance. We would have been able to grind this game a different way. I though say don't fuck around and bring PJ Walker into this. You might actually win a damn game. And at this point, winning a game, each game we win from now on, is going to be a death blow to this team.
Please
and it started last year with Washington, bro. It is. It's true. Is that like we don't need to advance? Is like maybe there isn't a quarterback in the draft. Maybe there isn't, but hopefully there is.
Hey, can I ask you to highlight G Baby's most recent comment? And then Cody, no, about the offensive line.
One?
Because if that's his take, if that's what G Baby saw today, everything he says about Cody is irrelevant. Like, sorry, G Baby. I don't know if you watched this game today, brother, but that offensive line was absolutely garbage. Yes, was the sacks not there? No, because guess what? Sam Darnold was throwing the ball away super quick. Right? He wasn't holding the ball nearly as long. This offensive line was absolutely atrocious today. Every single play, you saw Dennis Daly fall over with literally no effort whatsoever from Judon. Right? Just fell over like he was blown over by, like, Judon sneezed on the dude.
Yeah,
and he fell
the
over.
line was awful. The line was awful. Everything was awful. I challenge anybody to find one good thing about this game today.
There wasn't.
That's what I would say.
The turnovers.
No, nobody really.
Yeah. But then they got smoked on the ground, dude.
There was one nice pass to Hubbard.
There are two people that I can mention that I feel like had, they made some good plays. I think Shaq Thompson, he had some blown coverages, but for the most part, that guy does what he was paid to do here. Run downhill, tackle, stuff the run, do the things that he needs to do. That's what Shaq Thompson does. And then I think Hassan Reddick also looked really good for the most part. He's aggressive. He's by far our best pass rusher. But those are the only two guys. And yet again, it's no one on offense. It's none of our offensive personnel. It's only two defensive players. By the way, thanks to Ross Gould for the $5. Says Cam constantly making something out of nothing. Sam makes nothing out of something. Yeah, listen, we had a drive that we were coming back on. I mean, we were in the red zone when he threw that pass intended to DJ Moore. But then Justin Jackson just intercepted it right out of his hands for Sam's third interception. And
bro, there was nothing.
Those are the types of plays that take points off the board.
Maybe the only good thing I could see is that Christian McCaffrey didn't get hurt visibly, right? But look, I'm not even going to give anybody on the defense, Hassan Reddick or Shaq, anybody any praise either. They had 151 yards on 39 carries against us today. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different rushers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, man. Mac Jones had 12 completions today. He was 12 for 18, and they damn stomped us. You know, and I know that's not like on the defense that we're actually like poor field position, but yeah, actually, there's nothing good about this game. I want to thank everybody who's donated to the show. We appreciate it. You can find the links to support us in the show description, and you can help us the most by just hitting the thumbs up button and be a part of the chat room. That offensive line, you're right, is regressing, CK. It's regressing from year to year and week to week. You know, it's a double regression. Each week it's getting worse. And then from last year to this year has been such a significant downgrade. And I think that's my concern too with this coaching staff, is that if these games came last year, you go, oh, first year coaching staff, this and that, learning some things. They're regressing. They're regressing in building and team building. Turns out they're not good at team building. And I would argue this is that the NFL has figured out Joe Brady's offense because there isn't really an offense, man. Mm-hmm. And all these people are like the system. What system? It ain't nothing. It's like the weakest ass shit. All right, let's go to the calls, man. Let's see what these guys got to say. 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use
one? Listen, man. Sam Darnold is being Sam Darnold. That's it. I told people before that, when they traded for him, I was like, this is a bad thing. Sam Darnold is being Sam Darnold. I mean, everybody can blame on the play calling, the coach. But let's be honest. Let's not act like we not seeing this. If you've been watching football, you've been paying attention. Sam Darnold always been this way. And let's be honest, this whole coaching staff is trash. Joe Brady is trash. Matt Rule is trash.
Yeah.
But the main trash is David Tepper.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Wow.
This is Cody's burner account.
Okay.
He got rid of Cam. He hired somebody that looks like him. He didn't fire Marty Hurney. This is all David Tepper's ish. I said it last week and I will keep saying it. This is all on David Tepper. I hope and I pray that Matt Rule gets a college job, go back to college. Joe Brady, he can get out of here, and we can move on. And Tepper will somehow do better than what he's doing right now. Because if he wants that new stadium, he's not getting no new stadium with no damn losing ass team.
Tell him.
And I had my emotions out of this team since last year. You know, I can fake Panther Nation podcast for this. You know, shout out to them. Shout out to y'all too. But I mean, let's be real. I got my emotions out, and I just don't feel anything for this team. I'll holler at y'all later.
Dude, what is that saying, Tony? You're gonna have to help me here because I know I'm gonna butcher it. The opposite of love isn't hate; it's indifference.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that. It's like, man, it's like I love this team and they're so bad. It's like I should hate how bad they are, and I do, but then there's that part of me that's like, well, yeah, this is the Carolina Panthers. Like I've never been like, have we been under the illusion that this wasn't who we are? I mean, maybe we have been. Maybe
we are who we thought we were.
We are who we thought we were, dude. And
I don't know. I think we're worse than we thought we were.
I agree. At this
Yes.
point,
and the
That's
fact
the
that
scary
David,
part.
and listen, but let's not get lost on the main point of his phone call. David Tepper.
Yep.
That man fucked up this entire thing. He went and got an unproven college coach to be his head coach. Then he went and got the an unproven offensive coordinator who was the name of the week going around college football in Joe Brady. Then he thought that his coaches were so good and revolutionary that they'd be able to bring Sam Darnold down here for a chump change. You know, just a second round, fifth, whatever, and rejuvenate Sam Darnold's career. And guess
Or ruin
what?
our future
That
draft.
didn't fucking happen either.
Mhm.
And every single thing that is, ridden this Panther football team right now has David Tepper's fingerprints all over it. And now because of him, we're further along, we're further behind in this process now than we ever have been. Because we still need a quarterback. We still need 4 or 5 offensive linemen. We still need more depth at other places on this football team. And now we don't have the proper draft capital to actually do it. So,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying all of your ire. Listen, there's a bunch of blame to go around to Sam Darnold, to the coaches, to everyone. But you damn sure better be pointing some of your arrows at David Tepper as well.
Mm-hmm. They got caught chasing a hand. He went all in on this hand.
Yeah.
And,
Well, let's to kind of be fair, like not the revisionist history to a certain degree, is that we were originally in on the Stafford game. Like, so this was kind of the next iteration of a
which
try,
was also the
right?
wrong decision.
I disagree. Like,
well, we would be better. Actually, we would. If we had Matt Stafford here right now, who knows how this offense could be humming? As long
Matt
as we
Stafford
might have to get.
He would look like the Lions, Matt Stafford.
I agree.
He's on a good team with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. But here's and I also want to address a comment from J-Dub, who said we drank the Kool-Aid. And I'm trying to see, did we drink the Kool-Aid or did we just have to say we want to have some optimism about what this could be? And as long as we're not inflating it now, maybe we're just saying we're going to take a drink of this Kool-Aid and then we say, that tastes a little funny. And then you take another sip of it. You're like, it still tastes funny. This ain't Kool-Aid, motherfucker.
Then you pass out.
Then you take one more sip.
We got roofied.
Then you're like, did you just piss in this cup?
I know. And just call it Kool-Aid.
Yeah, dude, that was really cruel. Ross Gold with another $5 love bomb says Sam was playing C, A, Watson, B, Stafford, C, Darnold. I would swap A and B, Ross. I think the Panthers showed us that their clear first choice was Matthew Stafford, and they were going to sign and trade for Matthew Stafford. And they saved us from ourselves, too, because we wouldn't have had
I think
the
he
draft
was
pick.
more of a reasonable price. Originally, it was just a first-round pick. You're swapping your first for Matt Stafford. So I think Stafford was more of a reasonable price than Watson was initially, because Watson, you're talking 3 first-rounders, and that was or more before the the massage stuff came out, right? So that's when you were executing these plans right here. And someone else said this is that the Sam Darnold trade was high risk and had no reward. In some ways, I thought it was low risk,
Right.
with the opportunity to have high reward, and it turns out that I was wrong, because it's so bad right now. What was originally seen as low risk to me is now I'm mad that I even put my money out there. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you had a low risk bet and then you lost it and you're like, man, I just want my money back. I mean, I want my draft picks back. At this point, it's so damn bad that what I thought was just chump change turned out to be more valuable to me than this fool's gold or whatever. And he's bad. He is awful. And this is when I decided he's awful, is when he threw that pick when he was running out of bounds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he just kind of lazy threw it.
Just overthrew it. Just sailed it right over, I believe it was Ian Thomas's head. And just, but you know what? We are being reminded of something by someone who my heart goes out to, Nick Montiero, who is here in Charlotte, man. Him and Josh came down for this. Hope you guys had fun,
Thoughts
boys.
and prayers.
Yeah,
thoughts and prayers.
But he does give us a quaint little reminder that once again our YouTube chat is filled to the brim with a bunch of freaks who have a very particular fetish for being shamed, but they also love the smooth, silky stylings of one Codizzle Allen. So why don't you hit him with it, big papa?
Me? You guys want to hear from me about the fact that we have over 150 people in here that, and only, what, 58 likes? This is unacceptable. And all of you, why I appreciate you being here, you're going to get shamed because you haven't hit that thumbs up button. This is all for you. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 160 people watching, 66 thumbs up. Listen, man, you're having more fun here than you did watching that shit show of a Panthers football game, y'all. So do the right thing. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for every single time we go live and drop this C3 Panther content that you all love so much. Tony,
Here is the challenge. Here's the challenge to the people listening. As you smash that thumbs up button right now, think of it as a virtual get the fuck out of here. And I want you to write who you say out loud in the chat. Is it Joe Brady? Get the fuck out of here. Is it Sam Darnold? Get the fuck out of here. Smash the thumbs up button. Yell out a name that you want out of here and write it in the chat for me. Let's go to the calls.
Let them know.
252-228-5098. Let's see what else we got to suffer with.
Hey, podcast brothers.
G.
RCA. Hey, man, this game was fucking horrible, man. It's embarrassing, man. It's fucking embarrassing, man. This don't make no damn sense, man. This is worse than the 2010 squad.
It really is.
Real. I'm calling Sam Darnold. He's fucking benched for the rest of the damn fucking season. And hey, Cam is out there, man. We need to damn win, man. We need to fucking win. Cam is still out there. PJ Walker is just sitting on the bench and he ain't really doing shit. And the other Love dude or whatever, I don't know what the hell they are doing in that front office, man. I really don't know. I don't get it. And I'm not impressed with Mac Jones. I'm fucking not. I mean, the Patriots, their defense, you know what I'm saying, basically won them that damn game. You know, after the second damn interception, I would have benched fucking Sam Darnold. I don't know what the fuck Matt Rule was damn doing keeping that piece of shit in there, man. But, hey, y'all give me your thoughts on that. Carolina forever, baby. Keep pounding.
Why do you
forever,
think,
baby?
Why do you think he kept trotting Sam Darnold out there?
Because he has no other options.
I think he's trying to coddle him. I think they want to have some hope and belief about Sam Darnold playing quarterback, and they want to show David Tepper that they have some belief in Sam Darnold playing quarterback that they're doing the same thing that they did with Cam Irving and Pat Elflein and everybody else on this football team that they thought would be enough and would do the job, and yet still haven't and are not. So I think it's a pride thing. I think it's an ego thing. But also maybe they just don't believe in PJ. But even at that
I don't
point,
believe that.
Yeah, and I agree.
I don't
After
even
the
believe
third
that.
interception, it's like, what, he already threw his third one. Why are you still trotting him out on the football field?
Or you're trying to break them at this point. Is at this point you don't want to fuck around and put PJ in there, and win by accident. I don't know. I mean, not today. You wouldn't have won today. Right. Don't worry. It was safe. You could have put PJ in the first quarter and we still wouldn't have won with that type of performance. But I think right now is, look, everybody was beaten today.
Yeah.
And for all the smack that people talked about Ron Rivera's team, I never looked at Ron Rivera on the sideline and said that man is beaten.
Right.
Yes.
That guy, I felt like poor Coach Rule wanted to leave too.
At halftime.
Like he was like, yes.
At halftime, that's the problem, dude. Like the brother, done. like here's the problem I have with what our coach.
And it was a one-score game. It was a one-score game.
It was a one-score game with still over 30 seconds left on the clock, and we had all of our timeouts. And they ran one play, and then they just said, "All right, we'll let it roll down." Like, and by the way, this is all prior to the interceptions. It wasn't like Sam Darnold had been throwing the interceptions; those all took place in the second half. So you can't even use that as an excuse of saying like, "Well, I didn't want," Sam Darnold was throwing interceptions, didn't want to give them a short field. That wasn't even the situation at that point in time. Like, it was just clear that our coaching staff has no ability to be aggressive in any way whatsoever. And that's why if you get behind, this team is not going to win. We're not going to come back. And it's not happened at all year. Like, if anything, we get ahead and then we almost let teams come back when we do win. Like, that's always what ends up happening. But if we're playing from behind, it's no shot.
Yeah, this is a good comment. Rules like a deer in the headlights at this point. And I was hoping that it wasn't him that was the problem, because other problems we can sort out as we go along the way. But right now, you're talking what doesn't need to be overhauled. And I hate to tell you this is, don't just act like you're going to be able to bring back this defense in a better iteration next year, because you're going to have guys that either don't want to play here, right? We already heard Brian Burns talk about it, like he's tired of this feeling. Hassan Reddick, who's now starting to go, you know what? I got 8.5 sacks here. I'm about to get that bag, homie. That's what I would be thinking about. Like, you think Steve and Stephon Gilmore want to come back with this mess? Come on. So right now,
rebuild.
And we're not talking about a rebuild. We're talking about an entire. We're starting a build.
Yeah,
there is no rebuild. Like, I mean, like, we ain't got no parts to build right now. It looks like a total overhaul is coming your way. And I think Matt Rule and the coaching staff might have to be part of it, regardless of how much they're getting paid. So the number's 252-228-5098. Call in, tell us what you think. Who needs to go? Who do you want to say get the fuck out of here to? And do you hate Mac Jones as much as I do? The dirty bastard. Dude. Next call.
Yo, guys, it's your boy Nick from Mass, and I'm going to keep this one quick. I honestly don't know if I'm going to be making another trip down to Charlotte to see a game. 3 trips down here, 3 losses over the course of 3 years. I get that it's a game, and I get that anything can happen. But when we haven't scored an offensive touchdown in over 12 quarters of play, something's got to change, and someone's going to get fired. And quite honestly, I'm sorry, and it took me a long time to get to this point, but fuck Sam Darnold. Love, guys. Keep coming.
Look, he read my mind. He made that call before I told you to call in and say fuck you to somebody. And I hate you, and I'm sorry for y'all that are listening with your kids later on. At this point, you let them watch that game. If you let them watch that game, then they can hear a curse word at this point, because that was
I'm sure they did.
Just a raping of it was, it was like we seppuku'd on the field.
Yeah.
Like we just suicided ourselves. Like the Patriots didn't even play great.
Committed ritualistic harakiri.
Yeah.
Tough. Dude.
All right. Let's talk about this Brian. Let's talk about Brian Burns for a moment, who I thought was playing a good game, got injured several times, and it looked like the last one might be problematic going forward. You might see Brian Burns not playing for a couple of weeks. I don't know if it was, I hope it was just an ankle sprain or something like that, but he was not putting weight on it at the end. Started the CK, you're the one, and I feel like you were like the first person to spot this. At least on my timeline, that was the case.
Yeah.
Strip sack.
Yep.
Tell us what happened.
So basically, I was rewatching the replay because I was just trying to figure out what it was. The Panthers put it up on there to showcase the highlight. Well, the problem is, if you pay attention to what Mac Jones did, I was trying to figure out where Brian Burns got hurt. Well, if you pay attention, if you guys have the clip, you can play it. But like basically,
I'll pull it up.
Brian Burns gets the strip sack, gets up to try to pursue the ball, and in a very dirty play, Mac Jones grabs his ankle and twists it. Like pulls him back and then twists it, and that's where Brian Burns had to, he had hurt his ankle, he had to be helped off, and he was able to come back, which is definitely a positive. But also, you got to wonder, because I'm not sure which leg it was, like what type of impact that had or what type of damage it could have done that made him more susceptible to an injury there towards the end of the game, right? Brian Burns, like Mac Jones, I don't care who the fuck you are, that is the dirtiest play, and I think he needs to be fined and if not suspended. But that's similar to what happened to Cam Newton, right? With who was it on the Cincinnati Bengals that was doing that?
That was man, John. It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, watch this right. CK, you're right. I think this play actually injured his knee. Is what they said. He twisted him so hard.
Right here.
Brian Burns is going to recover the football. Matt Jones doesn't let him go.
Luvu gets the football. And he's just trying to run.
I'm saying Brian Burns is trying to go and recover the fumble. He goes to get it. Matt Jones grabs him by the ankle and yanks him back.
Twists his
ankle.
It's the twist that's a problem, because here's the thing is if he just tried to trip him up a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, is it a good play? No, it's kind of a whiny one, but it was, look at the hold where he holds on
right there, dude.
Right.
And yanks
so
back
this, you know what this reminded me of? You guys, I'm terrible with names, but you guys can help me out. Is the former, I think he was a Duke basketball player. Do you remember that kid that used to trip people all the time?
Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
And then threw and basically it was a little temper tantrum on the field. That's what I felt this play was, is he got his feelings hurt because he got strip sacked, and then he had a temper tantrum and tried to do something crappy. And so, you know what? I'm throwing I would never like Mac Jones because of this, ever. I don't care if he becomes the best quarterback in the history of the world. I would never, ever forgive him for this one moment.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Did you hear the announcers trying to justify what he did, where they brought up the clip from the past?
Because Brian Burns got a sack on him when he was in high school.
Yeah, and danced over him. Yeah. And that's why he said that they have bad blood, because Brian Burns got a sack on high school and danced over him. I was like, yeah, that's really justifiable right there.
Dude,
come on.
Well, we should have gone headhunting after that. I mean,
I know, man.
Man, all right. So, like, to the point was, it took us this long. This game was so bad that it took us this long to get to that.
Yeah.
Usually, if this is a game that we was close. If this is a game we won, we start with that. We lead with that story.
Oh, absolutely. Especially since, here's the thing, and this was the part that's going to really piss everybody off. If you guys pay attention, when Brian Burns was coming off the field there towards the end of the game, which leg was he not able to put pressure on?
The same one that he got twisted.
The same one that got twisted there.
Yep.
And so I don't care what they say. You could show me a replay, whatever it may be. I'm still going to blame Mac Jones for whatever injury Brian Burns has to that knee, because it all started there. And we all know, like, it's been everywhere. Like when Cam Newton had his foot, when he had his shoulder, like if something starts to kind of give a little bit, it's going to eventually happen if you don't like protect somebody from themselves, right? And that's what happened. Is like Mac Jones twisted it. That weakened whatever may be going on with his knee. I'm hoping to God it's not an ACL, but if it is, I'm blaming Mac Jones. And like I said, I think at this point in time, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but I wouldn't be crying if he was knocked out for the season.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, man.
Already play. 252-228-5098. Let us hear your thoughts. Get your frustrations out.
Hey, my name's Devin. Hey, I am Pepper fan.
I know. That's how I feel.
Okay. All right. Bye.
How is this? Is my thing is this is the one time I don't drink any booze during a game.
Needed it.
Is this game? Should have. This is the post game I needed to fall asleep in. 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Look at that. 178 people got something to say. Tell us who you want to get the fuck out of here. And I bet you the list needs to be longer than Sam Darnold and Joe Brady, because Dennis Daly on that list.
Matt Rule should be on the list.
I think Joe Brady is by far, like, I think right now, at least the defense has been playing well. Like, that's the thing, is if it was a failure on all accounts, then I think that, yeah, we definitely, it's Matt Rule, but it's all the offense. Like, if the biggest issue we have is our offense, and that means it's going to fall on Joe Brady's head. Joe Brady needs to be out of the door by tomorrow morning, no later.
No, I agree. The biggest issue is the offense, but the defense did not play well today. Like, we were looking at halftime, they hadn't had a lot of points, but most of the offense that New England was held back from was their own fault, getting penalized. So our defense didn't play well. They beat us up all day long. And
I mean, nothing was good. There ain't no more coddling the defense.
Yeah, exactly. Without penalties, we could have lost this game by 30 points, easy.
Yeah,
easily.
All right, next call.
What's up, C3 family? It's your boy, Jerron Johnson, calling in.
What's up?
And I'm calling in to do a little venting right now, watching this game.
Do it.
Down here in Atlanta. And guys, if I had the time, the freedom to do so, I mean, I would have driven up to Charlotte, waited till everybody came out of the stadium, found a nice little room just to sneak in, found my way to the locker room, waited till everybody, got their showers, got everything together and stuff. And I would have snuck in that locker room, guys, and I would have locked the door. I would have told everybody, except for a couple players, maybe some on defense, just, hey, guys, y'all sit right here. Don't get in my business. Don't get in the way. And I would have told everybody on that offense to stand up, put their hands up. I love this team too much to let y'all get out here and embarrass us like this every single week. Yeah, I'll probably lose some fight.
My man talk about mass executing the offense. Step forward.
Be a millionaire, because I probably would have made some bad decisions. Guys, appreciate y'all. Keep it up. Keep doing your thing.
You're trying to fight the whole offense. I like that.
That's damn.
I mean, put him in the gas him. My man just said gas him, basically.
Well, he's ready to take him down. I agree with him, man.
I saw Rich Kingston had a tweet that was very eerily similar to that in a way. He said, if I'm David Tepper, I'm walking into this locker room at halftime, and I'm saying, you get this sorted right away, or you just don't come back to work tomorrow, Joe Brady. Is that the fact that the offense, and so here's the thing that is really scary about this for me, is that it looks like what I thought was going to be a strength of this coaching staff is actually turned out to be a weakness, and that's their ability to teach and overcome, because we can't teach and overcome shit, clearly. And Joe Brady has to be at the top of the list. I think you got to put this quarterbacks coach on that list, that Sean, whatever his name is, Sean Ryan, whatever, and Pat Meyer with this offensive line. Like, there's been no teaching going on, no learning. I saw Ron Rivera do better with a bunch of undrafted free agents and getting this offensive line. I saw John Matsko, who I thought was the most overrated coach in the world. Maybe he wasn't. because this coaching staff don't know how to teach nothing. Let's go to the next call.
Oh, yes. My name's Juan Conley from North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm calling about this rumor about Odell Beckham Jr. being released today on his birthday. As the Panthers should go get
Turn the bill out.
Not because I'm thinking that of his age stuff, but I think if we get Odell Beckham Jr. on a passing game, it helps us open up more games for GJ Moore, while they add in Terrence Marshall, and Chris McCaffrey. If somehow unite him in the offensive line and use him to be a receiver, we can catch balls too, or be a blocker. We can use that in our badness and so teams that where our team we love not mess with, at the team that can win. The Panthers have a cap space right now to get him. We could get him in for maybe a better contract for 1 year and some next year for another contract. We look at Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell don't want to come here.
Sam Darnold may not be that bad a quarterback because if we can actually, you know what?
I feel like this call was before the
Sam
game.
Darnold has been proving the fans wrong. He can throw the ball good. Look what he just did to the Falcons.
It might have been. Well, this was. I got some that I get there towards the end of the game. All right, let's go to the next call.
Yeah, sorry, brother. Odell's not coming here, man.
Not after this.
Fuck Sam Darnold, man. Dude is donkey dick. I don't want to hear him saying, well, his offensive line isn't good, blah, blah, blah. It's not, but he is absolute donkey dick. He sucks, bro. Like, literally has no awareness of shit going on around him. Like, how many times did he throw straight at his defensive line? Like, he just got picked off again. The man throws a touchdown for the opposite team before he'll throw one for his own goddamn team. We are absolute garbage. We're quite possibly the worst team in the NFL. At least the Lions look competent from week to week. We look like shit every week, man. We suck. I'm just so tired of watching shitty football.
Yeah.
Every year, man. And that's
We
what
are
makes
fucking
this so
garbage, man.
worse.
And if I swear to God, if I dare you to trot him out as the starter next week, or if he's even on this fucking team, I want to see some people start getting fired. I don't give a fuck.
He's got to be benched.
We gave up on Cam Newton for fucking Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold. Kiss my ass, David Tepper.
It's a big L for them.
Fuck you, Matt Rule, and anyone, Joe Brady, whoever said yes to those decisions, fuck you. You are fucking stupid.
That would be David Tepper.
Right.
David Tepper.
This is the worst offense I have ever watched in my life. Not just Panthers. If we keep at this pace, I'm pretty sure we'll go down as the worst offense in NFL history. We can't do anything. Every Sunday is the same shit. We can't do anything. Our line sucks. Our quarterback's worse than the line. And that's really fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's right. You're right.
Disappointing. Another season of shitty Panthers football. All right, guys.
It's amazing we've won any games. That's what I would say. It's been amazing that we've won any games. Maybe that does show the level of our competition that we played early and how bad they were.
Right.
The other thing was Teddy right? Do we got to say that was Teddy? I mean, I tried to say there's no way that they didn't practice red zone. There's no way that, like, at this point, I wonder if they practice at all.
Maybe we were too biased and hopeful for our coaches that, surely it can't be that bad. And then number two, Teddy played like shit, man, especially down the stretch. And again, I think Teddy's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but I think that's undeniable at this point. And we're kind of left in the same boat here, man. Dude, the thing that makes this so much worse is that here we are again. Dude, it's the same thing every year. It's a tale of two halves. The first part of the year, they win some and they lose some, and some of these games have us thinking, man, we might be a contender this year. We might be able to make a legitimate push this year. And then to just utterly backslide into a downward spiral of oblivion and shit football decisions. It's just unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable. And David Tepper and Matt Rule, and I want to include Matt Rule in this too, because I believe that he has signed off on some of our biggest free agents, on some of our biggest
He's had
draft
to.
picks.
He's had to.
100%. 100%.
I mean, they're his guys, if you think about it. You know, I mean, Hassan Reddick is his dude. So, like, I mean, and that one's worked out. But like, Robbie Anderson, his dude. So it's clear his fingerprints are on free agency. His fingerprints are on this draft. Again, guess where Sam Tecklenburg played college football at? Baylor.
No.
Oh, Baylor.
Yeah,
It was either one of those. Yeah, it's like
it's everywhere. Is that right now? There is zero way we cannot. There's zero defending, excusing anybody, from the owner to the coaches to the players. And we can't even. I can't even. The players I like, I can't even. The only person I gotta maybe even say nice things about are Hassan Reddick and Shaq Thompson. And I said a lot of mean things about Shaq Thompson. Not mean, but underwhelmed by Shaq Thompson. Now he's, other than that, nothing. Oh, Stephon Gilmore, a guy that's played 2 games. He's like done more things for this team in 2 games than people have done in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And how about this too? And listen, guys, I'm on record multiple times saying that I think J.C. Horn is going to be a really good player for the Carolina Panthers. And I still believe that too. But the fact of the matter is this: enough time has passed. It's official. We fucked up the number 1 pick or the 8th pick in the draft for the Panthers.
Yep.
We should have drafted Justin Fields, or we should have drafted Rashawn Slater. And I mean, listen,
you could have drafted Mac Jones if you want to be on that.
It's a good point.
No, dude, Justin Fields is a way. I don't give a fuck. Justin Fields
I'm just saying
is a way better prospect
I agree.
than Mac Jones.
I agree, but he's better than Sam Darnold too right now.
But yeah, my thing is this though: like you outthought the room. You thought you were smarter than you actually were, and you made a decision that made. Listen, I'm not just trying to be a Debbie Downer because we're all feeling bad that we just lost, but looking at things realistically, this might be a year or 2 before we can dig out the kind of hole that we're in.
Or three, bro. Like that's the thing is that last year we really missed the opportunity with last year, and what I mean by that even more so than which yours. That's why I kept going back to it. Goes back to that Washington game. You lose that Washington. You win that Washington game last year with nothing in sight, and you screwed yourself out of the 2nd pick in the draft. And I know that right now Zach Wilson is, people are, not on board with that because he's hurt and all these other guys seem to be able to run the offense better than he can. But we kind of just punted by getting a corner. You get a corner when you have a quarterback, when you got a left tackle, you got all of those things, and then you're ready to make this defense legit. We are so far away that we're going to squander a good defense,
right?
Or a defense that could have been good. So I don't know. I saw somebody say, "Can we talk about the Robbie Anderson?"
Yeah. So I
don't know about it. You got to tell me.
I'm still trying to find it. But one of the quotes that Joe Person put out from Robbie Anderson said, "What we're doing clearly isn't working. To keep doing it is, quote, technically insanity."
True. By definition.
He pulled the old Albert Einstein quote on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. To keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
Correct.
Right now, I just say you don't even show up to work. Because you ain't shown up to work as it is.
Right.
And right now, I don't see how it could even get, what's going to even get any better going forward. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could not give up 150 yards on the ground. But that offensive line ain't getting no better. Sam Darnold out there, and in defense of not Robbie, not in defense. I've been worried Sam Darnold going to get somebody killed out there.
Yeah, after a couple of those throws.
Last week, I mean, it's not the first time that this has happened. Last week, Robbie Anderson almost got dead. He almost died out there. Today, the same thing happened to DJ. Poor guys, man. These guys are going to have like internal bleeding.
Sam Darnold in his press conference said, "I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys why I should be the quarterback. I believe in myself, and that's all that matters." And he
what
says
do you believe about yourself? That you exist?
Yeah. Did you believe that you're here? Did you believe hey, do you believe in ghosts, Sam Darnold?
I know.
Because
Oh,
it
God,
looked to me like you were seeing a lot of fucking ghosts. It was like another Paranormal Activity movie out there on Bank of America Field today, dude. He had a bad day of it, man. And I think he reveals himself to us. I think this is who Sam Darnold is. He's Josh Rosen. He's Josh Rosen. And by the way, if you don't know who Josh Rosen is, that's quite literally my point.
Doesn't he kind of answer his own question though? Whenever he says, I don't have to answer, why I'm the quarterback, but it's because I believe in myself. Well, that's the reason why you think you should be the quarterback is because you believe in yourself, right?
If you didn't believe in yourself, you'd be committing suicide, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what else is that? What does that even mean? I believe in myself. No, you don't. No, you don't actually. Have you not seen yourself? You don't even believe in yourself, bro.
He's like, I don't even watch the tape, y'all.
I know. I want to talk about this. Go back to Trey Lance. Paul Mancini said Trey Lance is nothing and won't be a factor for another 2 years. Oh, this is going back to the 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterback opportunities that were in that top 10. Trevor Lawrence, right? Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields could have been there. I'm gonna slightly I agree and disagree with this take is that if he's not ready for 2 years, you know what you had the opportunity to do? Draft his ass and keep Teddy for another year and let him study.
Yeah.
I mean, is that you could have really just done that. And the thing is now at least everybody's telling me that there's no transcendent quarterbacks in this class or whatever, this draft class coming out. Yeah, every time we're touching the ceiling for a good draft pick, there's nobody there now. And last year, we had a chance to get there. And knowing how bad we are this year is that now it's just prolonged. All of this is just prolonged because you didn't get, and this is why did I not flip out when we picked JC Horn?
Yep.
And then I let you guys say, oh, he's such a great player. He's such a great player. And that had nothing to do with that. That's like saying this is that imagine if the Panthers would have picked Von Miller over Cam Newton. And I flipped out and I went, oh, blah, 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 blah. And you go, well, Von Miller is such a great player. It's true. But guess what? We don't need Von Miller. We need Cam Newton more. We need Von Miller.
Right.
We needed Rashawn Slater more than we needed JC Horn. Right. We needed Trey Lance or all these dudes more than we needed Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Justin Fields, man. We could have had Justin Fields. Listen, okay, I bitched a lot about Teddy Bridgewater last year, but I would have been fine trotting Bridgewater out there if we had tried and rebuild the offensive line and had gotten another quarterback that I knew that we wouldn't have to absolutely force feed him to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the fact that we didn't do that, shout out to the factor of one. He says he's a Bears fan. Justin Fields has played baseball since he was 4 years old. I'm a Bears fan, and he's made some special throws and runs. He has the it factor. And when I do my evaluations, I made my top 100 big board. I do it every year. He was the number 2 player on my big board, right behind Trevor Lawrence. And he was there for the Panthers. And we said, no, we're going to rehabilitate Sam Darnold, even though you had seen him for 3 years. And again, I know we thought he was in a terrible situation, and that's what blinded us to even thinking that maybe he'd be able to do this. But the fact that our coaches didn't think that this offensive line problem would hinder Sam Darnold's performance and make everything so much worse for them along the way, that's incompetency. That means you don't know how to build an NFL roster. That means you don't know the proper steps that it takes to make sure that your quarterback can be successful. And of course, that Matt Rule and Joe Brady don't know any of this. They've never had to do it before, ever.
Right.
I just want to look at this. We had 13 first downs in this game. We were 3 for 11 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down, a total of 240 yards. So somehow we got more yards. We did get more yards than that Giants game, which was like 170 or 150 yards.
Right.
These largely came in, I would say, 2 big plays. The Chuba Hubbard play was a big play, and then there was a couple of Christian McCaffrey catches that got us some positive yards. But other than that, there was really nothing. And look at this. They weren't much better in some ways. 17 first downs. They were pretty good on third down, the Patriots. They had 273 yards. They were rushing the ball effectively. And that makes us kind of, for me, this is kind of what's saddening about this is that neither the defense was even good. So
we
really
expect too much of our defense. I mean, they weren't.
Yeah. You know what I expect them to do is them. You know what they're gonna have to be better. Just like Sam Darnold has to overcome that offensive line, this defense has to overcome our offense.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, it sucks, but if they don't, then this is what it's always going to look like. They ain't got enough smoke to carry this team like that.
Right.
They just don't. And man, this team, what was the stat? They put it up early. Hasn't scored a touchdown in 12 quarters.
In 12 quarters, we have not scored a single touchdown. That's inadequacy on the highest level.
3 games.
That's ineptitude.
That's 3 games.
That's absolute ineptitude on the highest level, man.
I wonder if the last touchdown we scored was by the defense. Wouldn't that be some shit?
Let's go to the next
one. Remember, like we had a defensive touchdown or something. Remember in the third quarter of a game before, and that was like the last. Was when. Anyway.
And we suck again. Yes, this is Mr. Frost from Swansboro. I just got to say, Sammy D's got to go. He's trash. Our team looked just off. Like, where's the team from the first 3 games? I know we were playing crap teams, but it just seems like we were playing. It seems like we're a different team from then. Our coaches are sloppy. The O-line just is horrible, but I think that's by design. That's Rule's built-in excuse not to do anything this year so he doesn't get fired. I don't know, guys. It's a bad loss. We probably gonna have a low draft pick this year, but that could be a good thing because Sammy D's got to go. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Keep pounding.
Have a good one. Keep pounding.
We don't need to be winning any more games if we want a good draft pick. That's for sure. We don't need to be winning any more games because 4 games. Think of what did we win 5 last year?
Yeah. I don't know. We won less. Yeah. 4 is not going to get us a good pick though.
It's not going to get us what?
A good pick. Not right now because we're
probably
going to at least 2 more games.
I mean, we could be a 4,
I don't think we're going to win any more
5
games,
win
dude.
team and still be a top 10 pick. We have been the last 2 years in a row.
Oh, we're going to be a top 10. We need to be a top 3 pick. And right now the Jags.
We better lose
the Jags won today, dude. I know. I think that's where we're at right now. And you're starting to. We debated this on the show last week if we missed the trade deadline,
and we did. We damn sure missed.
Turns out we did. I almost would like to see the NFL extend it back a little bit.
Like the season, they should have gone 1 more week with the trade deadline.
Yeah, it would be nice if now teams like what are we 4 and 5 9? I guess 9 weeks. I don't know. That's kind of halfway. 8. It's halfway through with the news, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like to be able to sell right. Imagine if we could still trade till Tuesday. Imagine if the deadline was the 10th. What would we come out and do today?
Yeah.
Trade everything.
I mean, they would be trading people today.
100 draft picks next year. Hey, my question:
who would you trade first?
You got to trade some value. They got to have value.
I mean, the fact that dude. And like the fact that we can't make trades and we have one pick in the top 100. Yeah. And by the way, and I don't give a damn who doesn't want to hear it, let's all be realistic and say that the Deshaun Watson thing is not going away, y'all. David Tepper is going to throw a temper tantrum. And even though we don't have the picks, David Tepper's the kind of Uncle Scrooge that'll do it anyway because he'll throw a billionaire temper tantrum until he gets his fucking way. And that's what he does. So we don't even have the picks to do it. And we might still be trying to trade for either, another quarterback to come in and be our savior. And it's like, then we really won't have picks to put an offensive line in front of them. Right. Then you're using all the rest of your free agent money to go and get someone and bring them in. Dude, we fucked this up. We fumbled the bag, man. Now we're going to have to restart a rebuild, and who knows how long that's going to last. Right. And it's hard to see a scenario where Matt Rule is still the coach of this whole thing, if that's what we're talking about. If we're really talking about the Panthers not, having to redo this whole thing, why would you want Matt Rule to be a part of it?
Can I ask a question? We were talking about the trade deadline. What is the point of the trade deadline? Like, what's the purpose? I mean, you would think so that way, like a team can't stack up,
super load up at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then it could just get unfair. Like, if you're 2 games away from making a playoffs, you could just be like, we're gonna go buy some great players.
But a trade works 2 ways. Like, why would another team want to give this team the total ammunition to go win a Super Bowl?
Because they're us.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're in a rebuild, and maybe they have an opportunity to trade up to number 1 with more draft picks, and I guess there's a multitude of different reasons. I get your thought process with it all, but I think that it does make it a bit of a unfair advantage to the teams that are absolutely doing well.
How about this?
Way, his Sam quarterback rating? I don't mean to interrupt you, Tony. Sam Darnold's quarterback rating is now the lowest it's ever been in his career.
I was just going to bring this up, is that he said, quote, this is from Darren Gant. Darnold, quote, I'm fully aware I didn't play my best football today. My thing is this, is like, how can you have played worse than this at any other point in your life? Like, you should, I feel like this quote is, I'm fully aware that this is the worst game I've ever played in my life. Nope. He's trying to tell me he's had worse games than this. I saw this crazy stat that he has had 2 games since high school where he has not had a turnover.
Really?
That's some shit right there. Like, how? Like, he can't even. This guy turns the ball over when he don't even play.
He didn't have a turnover last. That can't be a true stat.
Yeah, that's a pretty. I have to check that.
Say it one more time. Say it again.
I heard a stat that said that he has not had 2. There's only been 2 games since high school where he's not had a turnover.
I think maybe that may be more real of he hasn't gone more than 2 games without a turnover.
Yeah, that would make
more sense. I think that's more believable. But only that means there's no way you're drafted as high as you are if you have an interception.
Name a game that he hasn't had a turnover.
He didn't have a turnover
because he didn't. He left the game with a concussion. Now I heard this stat. Now I heard this stat before last week too, though. It was like 4 weeks ago. I heard this 3 weeks ago.
Hey,
I'd be wrong. Yeah.
Shout out to Kenneth Panther Pickle, who informs us that Matt Paradis has torn his ACL and he is out for the season.
Good. No, actually, I don't mean that to him because that's mean to say.
Honestly, yeah, to catch yourself. Like, maybe I shouldn't go that far.
Some people were talking about that. Maybe our offensive line would be better without him. This is not an addition by subtraction type of situation. Yeah. Like, he may not be great, but I'll tell you what, he is better than all the other alternatives that are.
Well, we're gonna find out.
We're
gonna find out. Jarrett Cole, mad love for the $5 donation in the super chat. You can find other ways to support the show, whether it be PayPal or some different ways. Oh, here, I'll plug this. Is you could, one way you can support this podcast, you go buy a dang t-shirt. got these cool One Nation, One Voice C3 t-shirts for the CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We've got Keep Pounding t-shirts. I got I Stand With Cam t-shirts if you want those still. So there's some cool merchandise. You can find that in the show notes. I'll put the link in there. It might not be right. Actually, I'll drop it in there, but you can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. If you find a little tab that says shop, you find a t-shirt there. They're in that closet right now. I'll mail it to you right now. We got to figure out something that'd be more fun than watching this football game.
Right.
Going to the post office. Good Lord. It'd be like a good old American staple, not football, the post office. Hey, shout out to a guy who's a member of that American workforce. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, guys, I'm not going to get off here and scream and yell and curse and act stupid like G-Baby does. So I'll just say it like this. This entire team is clusterfucked. From the head coach and general manager all the way down to the offensive linemen and the rest of them. They're all clusterfucked. Okay, we are a clusterfuck team. The offensive line can't block, but their offensive line coach apparently can't teach them anything. The quarterbacks can't figure out which teams they're on, and apparently the quarterbacks coach can't teach them anything. The head coach has this dream that this is his team because he built it the way he wanted to build it. Well, there you freaking go. This team is built the way Matt Rule wanted. Matt Rule is by and large the problem because this is what he wanted. Remember when he failed to draft a quarterback in the first round? What did he tell us? He didn't want he didn't want Sam Darnold to feel the pressure of a first round rookie quarterback pressing him. And hello?
Yep.
Where does that leave us? Yeah.
But yet David Tepper is the one
signs off on it. Yep. He says, okay, Matt.
I'm calling for everybody. If I was David
at
Tepper,
that point.
there would be a coach and a player cut and fired before this evening's over.
I mean, it's sad you don't want to knee jerk, but I mean, like,
that's what I would tell them.
Yeah.
The argument against that. The argument against that.
At least we'll have a top 5 pick.
Maybe.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Maybe, yeah.
And by the way, real quick.
Top 5 pick. So
I thought he said he was done.
Traded down about 5 times. All
right. He said he was done. And we all went to talk, and every time he's like, oh.
And real quick, Ross Gold says with the $5 love bomb, maybe we shouldn't have drafted a long snapper, fellas. Keep pounding.
Especially as that guy, whoever is starting for the Chiefs now, is like the best player on there. Yeah, it's like the best.
I'm watching him right now. I'm watching him right now.
Some other things that are flying across the Twitter timeline is Hassan Reddick commenting on Mac Perfect. I saw somebody call him Mac Perfect. Mac Jones' dirty play. He said I thought it was completely dirty, quote. And Bill, he went on to say, it seems like they're always protecting the offensive player. Where's the protection for the defensive players as well? Maybe another good thing that comes out of it, or not another good thing. I said another mistakenly. Anything as Christian McCaffrey reports that his hamstring feels great. Which does, you guys start to think this is since the fire sale didn't start now, right? We missed the opportunity to sell. That does not mean that our trade deadline is over. It does for right now, but you got to wonder as soon as free agency opens up before the draft comes about, if we start trading then. And you wonder if names like Brian Burns and Christian McCaffrey are on that list. I mean, what are you gonna do? You don't have draft picks, and you don't have any, and you have so many needs. It's like you have so many needs, and it would be nice if we could just say, "Man, we're a quarterback away." How about that? As even if we were just close to but there's no go getting Russell Wilson and this team being significantly better unless you're able to do some other big time things along with it. And at some point, you can only do so much.
Yeah. And let's be honest too. I don't think there's really, we do have a lot of work we need, but I truly do think that if we had a quarterback and an offensive line, which I know is a big ask for all of that, but 2 or 3 players in the offensive line, a quarterback that's manageable, the other personnel we have in this team would be a decent team. I think that's just the biggest point is the offensive line and quarterback play, which
that's what
they go
makes a
hand in
team
hand.
good, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but like, do you see what I'm saying about how you really have to be angry at David Tepper here because
Yeah.
of all the things that we've been laying out for you? Like, okay, now we need a quarterback, and we don't have the draft capital or the any of the things necessary to be able to go get a quarterback in free agency. Maybe there's going to be a guy you like picking in the top 10, assuming that we do. But even then, you don't have a lot of other picks to draft a lot of quality O-line help to help him out. So then it's like now we're kicking the can down the road. How many more seasons do we expect to see Matt Rule, bumble his way around the NFL with a subpar quarterback and a bullshit offensive line, and then expect him to get the benefit of the doubt? That means we're going to be changing our coaching staff sometime soon also. Dude, it's bad on all fronts, man.
And
it's
you want to hear this is that I'm to the point where when people say we've got a bad fan culture, like, and they go on and they're like, oh, we got to change the culture. We got to change the culture. I think this is almost to the point where I think that's like a lost call into, like, you're just shouting into the abyss at this point. Is that there is, when you are a young team like we are, right? Only 30 years as a franchise. We're just starting to get to kind of, people that have come up their whole lives as Panther fans. So you're already fighting an uphill battle against teams that have a longer legacy and heritage, right? Even the ones that don't have a ton of success have their age as something. Right, is that they had a Browns pacifier or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're young like that, and you have this kind of real finicky fan base to a certain degree. And I'm not trying to dump on fans. You know how this is, give them something to cheer for,
right?
And how long can you sustain like dumpster fire losing before a fan base that didn't have its own natural kind of strength to it just turns the channel and becomes a Hurricanes fan or starts watching a different sport?
Yeah, man. And look, if you want passionate fans to fill up the stadium, well, don't give the fans a reason to be in a constant state of malaise where it's just like, whatever. Listen, what have our callers been saying? That it's not even like they're super angry. Kenneth wasn't angry. A bunch of our callers haven't been angry. They're just like,
we haven't even been that angry.
Yeah, because it's just like we're explaining the shit that we've already said on this show out loud a bunch of times, and here we are again, man. And it's like they're doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result, and that's the definition of insanity. And that's what Robbie Anderson's talking about in his post-game press conference. And he hasn't been playing well either. But the fact of the matter is, from an organizational standpoint, the Panthers take one step forward and take 4 steps back.
That's it. That is it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, man.
It has a future outlook. I don't think that when I guess this would have been the 02-01 Panthers they won week 1. Right. And then lost the next 15 games. I don't know if you were a player or a fan in week 5 that said, man, I don't think they're going to win any games for the rest of the season. You say this might be a long ride or something like this. In 2010, I don't know if we had the format, like I'm trying to say, did we think we were going to be that bad as we were watching it? Maybe 2010, I felt that way. Right now, I don't have any reason to believe that the Panthers should win a game for the rest of the season, given the fact that we have seen 2 teams in the Panthers' history pull this off before, of just They're not going to. You can don't give me this thing about look, and I'm not like CK was right. Statistically, you're not out of it. You're not statistically out of it. But I don't know what I've seen from the Panthers other than just the statistical ability. Like what I'm just saying is this: is do you at this point is like the only reason you think that you're in it is because you don't think you're going to lose every game. Like you're just like too scared. I'm not. Why would you bet them to win any games? What would be the more reasonable bet to place right now? If I gave you, what is the better odds? Like the Panthers don't win a single game going forward, or the Panthers win a game going forward.
Oh,
I honestly, I agree with you that they could go without winning, but I think your better odds are they're going to win at least one more game. Just
because they beat Atlanta last week.
I mean, because they've showed the ability that they
get
can
to play them again.
Who are we going to beat though?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm just saying statistically, what do they got?
So going forward, we have the Cardinals for sure lost, Washington football team, Miami Dolphins. We got the Falcons again. So maybe and we have them at home too. So maybe if you want to say we pick up a W there, sure, whatever. Just because Saints. It's the Falcons. Yeah. Then we play the Buffalo Bills.
Sure lost there.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, no, the Jags beat the Jags beat the Bills.
That's what
the
I'm
Bills
saying.
Are beatable.
That shows you what I'm saying right there. The Jags beat the Bills today. Any given Sunday, a team can have a bad day, and we can just happen to catch those passes that we would drop or whatever. I mean,
that makes sense to me, Greg. Except for, I just watched that football team today play, and I don't think they deserve to win. Like, I don't think they could.
They don't deserve
win anything. Mm-hmm. Like, is that imagine how bad the other team would have to play.
Yeah, I agree, but it could happen. Is all I'm saying. Statistically, I think through 9 games, since they've already won 4. Statistically, I think they would win 1. But I agree that
So what you're all right? So you're saying that the odds are like if you put $100 down, you had 2 bets that the Panthers would not win any games for the rest of the season, or that they'll win 1. Like the over under is 0.5, right? That's what the over under is for this bet. If you're saying this is that if you bet $100, you'd probably have negative money, like it would pay like $80 back to you or something, right? It's like because the odds are better that they actually win a game. What I'm saying is that if you bet 0 games going forward, it ain't going to be like a 10-to-1 payout. You're going to get like $120 on your $100 bet, and that's it. Like it's
a bigger payout. Yeah, you're right about that. I'm just saying,
but it would be like by this much.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're what, 4 and 5 now. So if that's the only statistics you have to go by to project the rest of the year out, then they're almost a 500 team. Through 8 more games, statistically, they should win 1 more. But I agree. They very well could go without winning another one. It's just you're betting strictly on odds.
Would you be upset, like, if let me ask you, what's the worst case scenario for this team moving forward? Is it that we maintain with Sam, that he picks up a little traction towards the end of the year that causes the team to maybe say, all right, well, we're going to stick with him. Maybe he does have the ability to turn it around, and then we go forward with Sam again? Or are you more upset if we go, like, all just without a win for the rest of the season?
The worst case scenario is us having
purgatory.
To watch
Tony, you're Catholic. Describe purgatory to the fans, because that's where the Panthers are right now, dude. We're in purgatory.
Purgatory is like when you go to the emergency room, and it's like you're really fucked up and you need a lot. Like, I mean, this is life or death.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait in the lobby, and you're like, oh, you're waiting, and they're like, oh, yeah, my dad almost died in the emergency room lobby. But then here's the thing: is right when they take you back, nope, you still in the lobby. You're just in the lobby with the curtain around you. This time.
You're in a different part of the lobby,
right.
Isolated off.
Yeah, is that you ain't even close to being out there. I think the worst case scenario, CK, is having to watch a game like this or like the Giants game,
right?
Again, again. Right. And the fact is I think we're gonna have to watch it more than once now.
Yeah,
you're probably right. Yeah.
Hey,
I think you're right.
Next week, probably.
Before you go, guys, we have 204 people watching. I'm not even going to shame you right now. What I want to do is just ask you to subscribe. We are a little under 300 subscribers away from 3,000 subscribers. That's a big deal for us, y'all. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Tell a friend. Let people know about the C3 Panthers podcast. You know you're having more fun here than you did watching the football game today. I'll tell you that. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell for every single time we go live. And by the way, if you didn't already know, the much controversial David Newton is going to be on the Wednesday version of the C3 Beat Check. It is going to be a good time. We're going to ask tough but fair questions of Dave and of the football team. You have to check it out. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. That's it, man. That's all I need to say to the people right now. CK, you have anything for him you wanted to say?
Yeah, just hit that like button if you haven't done so. We have plenty of people. Hit that subscribe and listen. As Tony says, hit the share, man. Just like let your family and friends know. I know we all have Panther fans that we kind of lean on in our real lives, and it's always nice to be able to share a nice little therapy session with them. So let them know we are here to try to help you get through some of these tough times and the high times. It's the thing with these Panthers that we've learned this year is it is an absolute roller coaster. It's so funny what 1 week did for, like, we were in the deepest depths of despair after that Giants loss. And then we win that game last week against the Falcons. And we're like, okay, Sam Darnold played well. It was like, all right, Joe Brady turned a corner. He played, called a game that was pretty interesting. And when you have a roller coaster of emotions like that, you need a squad to be able to sit there and listen to and maybe you've experienced it with. So just be sure to hit that follow and share button for me.
That's it, man. Show some love. That's it. We done with the cat calls, Tony? We got more?
No, we got a couple more. Did CK have to go or just were you saying?
No.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right. I'll just do this. CK, you're right. Week to week, all of a sudden things come around, this and that. Last week, tried to maybe say, or kind of, we were hoping that the anomaly was how bad the Giants thing was and getting healthy and stuff was going to be straight. This week, though, I'm telling you, I ain't falling for it again.
Saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
George Bush is right, bro.
We've been fooled again.
Man can't get fooled again. You ain't fooling me again. You ain't fooling me again. It's a mess, bro. It's a mess. And it's such a mess that everything has to be called into question, right? And that's a scary, scary place to be at, right? Imagine like being a point in your life to where you're kind of at a crisis moment. Maybe your marriage is at a crisis point. You've got some personal issues. You've got some financial work, whatever, morale. Imagine like searching for that one thing to hold on to. That is the good thing. Maybe you're funny. Maybe, I don't know what it is. Imagine there not being a thing, though. That's got to be a very unsettling place to be at, right? Is like you are, and that's where I gotta say is like the fact that Sam Darnold, if he can still find something to believe in about himself, other than the fact that like he got some money in his pocket, I want to know what it is,
right? Because
like it's like imagine like you invest all this time and energy to be like say you are like me. Say you're like you want to be a professor, a history teacher. You like studied this. You try to invest so much of your life into it, and then 20 years later, you find out you're just not good at it. God, that's got to be a tough feeling. Sadly, Sam Darnold, you just ain't good at football. All of those offensive linemen, sorry, Dennis Day. Sorry. Cam Irvin stays hurt, bro.
Yeah.
He stays hurt. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't have, I mean, what's the thing that we hold on to? I think the only thing we can hold on to is each other. And the fact that we're going to keep bringing the podcast on Tuesday nights. We're going to keep doing all the extra content we're doing. We're going to keep bringing the good interviews. We're going to keep doing these post-game shows. And y'all are going to keep supporting because we will. The only way we're going to have to, you don't want it to be a Patriots home game in Charlotte. If that's unfortunate to you, you got to be pumping the fan base up and the culture together. And you do that by thumbsing it up, liking, and just commenting. And we got to not give up. And what I mean by that is you can give up on this season. Don't worry. I think I already have. But you got to not give up on being a fan. So it's better to be angry than it is to be apathetic. It's better to be sad than to not be sad at all.
Yeah.
Imagine if you watched this and you were like, man, you know what? Turns out I'm not even a Panthers fan. I'm really a secret Patriots fan.
I mean, dude, let me tell you, it's like I always hate that mindset that like whenever a team starts to lose, you always have that contingent of fans that's like, yeah, it's good. It weeds out all the fair weather fans. It's like, hey, stupid, fair weather fans buy tickets too, man. They chant, they cheer. Nobody likes a losing football team. No one likes it, and that's not how you build a fan base that's excited week in and week out to come and be a part of this Panthers experience. Look at the Patriots. They started their season losing, and there was never any doubt that all those Pats fans were going to follow them everywhere, regardless. Well, that Patriots team has won a bunch of Super Bowls. The Panthers haven't done that. So everything that you do should be geared towards building your football team in such a way that makes you a Super Bowl contender year in and year out. And there's some pretty simple processes that even jagoffs like me know. And I don't get paid to make football decisions. But I know you have to fix the quarterback position. I know you have to build up the offensive line. We all know this. And that the Panthers failed to do it is seemingly every single year. So David Tepper has to wear this big old egg on his face, Greg.
Yep. It is impossible to build a culture without winning. And the problem is, we're still without back-to-back winning seasons in our entire franchise, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
so
is true.
how do you have kids? How do you have kids who grow up watching this that want to pull for a team when they see teams like the Chiefs and the Steelers and the Patriots and people that the Seahawks, teams that are contenders every year? Why would you pull for Carolina? You're exactly right. They've got to put together a franchise that can win games to build. Look, North Carolina is not a football area. Like, we're not known for football. We're known for basketball, and we can't even keep fans in our basketball stadium because we're not winning. Like, it's pretty crazy. They've got to build a winning culture before they can build a big fan base. Period.
Imagine, it would be like if there was a TV show. And this is where we're at. We're about to, like, not today's show, but we're going to be, and this is going to be a long season, it looks like. We're going to be, like, talk about what we're watching on Netflix at some point. But imagine seeing the preview for a show that you had never heard or seen. There's, like, no precedent for it before, right? And you see the little trailer for it, and you haven't watched anything that good lately, and you've been looking for something to latch on to, and you choose, it looks all right, looks like this is going to be pretty cool, and you kind of choose to believe in that show, right? Like, you want to like it. How many episodes go by where it's crappy acting, crappy writing, and it's just not good before you say you don't like it?
Yeah, I'm done with the show.
Is there a point? I mean, is there a point? We are choosing to love something. It's like it's sadistic.
Yeah.
Or masochist. Yes, whatever the one. We like to be beaten, obviously. Like, I mean, somebody's going to be, by the end of this season, we're going to be watching videos of people stepping on people's faces with high heels on and mess.
Well, I watch that all the time, but that's here nor there. Greg, did you really say 5 episodes? You'll give a terrible show 5 episodes?
Yes. Yeah, well, it depends on the length.
More than me, dude.
It depends on the length. If it's like an 8-episode series, I'm going to watch all 8 episodes. If it's like 13 or more, I'll give it 5 episodes, simply for the fact that when it gets that long, there are 3 stages to the show. And by the time you get to the 5th episode, you're starting to get into the 2nd stage of the show, which should be the real meat and potatoes, but that sets you up for the finale. And if you're not interested by then it's no good. Plus, I've seen a lot of shows that through the first 3 or 4 shows I wasn't into, and then they took it over.
Hey, I'm not trying to say this is the right number, but my number is normally 3. If you haven't pulled me in by episode 3, bro, I gotta find some other shit to watch, man.
I'm worried that this season with these 2 games, that we had the Giants game and this game today, are like the equivalent of the 2nd episode of Black Mirror. Or first episode of Black Mirror. Maybe it's the first episode of Black Mirror. Everybody tells me that Black Mirror, or not everybody, a lot of people have said, oh, Black Mirror is a great show. Give it a chance. But no, I watched an episode where they made a man fuck a pig on live television.
Yep.
And
the prime minister, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, just online, and it was just such an unsettling. My wife and I watched this show together. We were looking for a show, and we said we just can't do it, bro.
You didn't like that episode? I love that episode, though. I thought it was awesome.
You are a fucking freak.
Yeah, I am, dude.
Yeah. It's like, don't make, I mean, then they made us watch it too. They didn't even, it would be one thing if you just used it as part of the storyline and we kind of knew what was happening, but it was like, man, they're going to really make us watch this for 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. It was like watching the Giants game.
Those are people who really like that bacon, man. You know what I mean?
Today's football game was the equivalent of that episode of Black Mirror. 252-228-5098.
It is me, motherfucking C-Dogs.
Did we hear this one?
I just want to say, now I told everybody a long time ago.
No.
You know,
that's C-Dog?
That's just a fucking joke, but ain't nobody take me serious. Everybody want to call me the bad guy. Picking up all these motherfucking cornerbacks, you know, when you need offensive linemen.
Yep. Man, ain't wrong.
And everybody got done giving this nigga a name, calls motherfucker Trade Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Being out sexy and shit in the motherfucking draft, knowing you need motherfucking offensive linemen. You know. It's just a fucking joke, man. Just fire everybody, man. Clean house and get some real goddamn coaches, man.
He ain't wrong. I mean, like right now, what have we done good?
Right now.
I don't know.
They had a balls to call Cam back something, but this
that's
right
what I'm
here,
saying,
man.
dude.
Niggas was, what, 3 interceptions today? And a pitch.
Yeah.
And he still played the whole game? Why did he even play the whole game?
Yeah.
You know, then got down Rule talking about he don't want to embarrass nobody. You're embarrassing the fans.
Well, you're embarrassing him.
You know, that fucking performance, man. But
yeah.
I don't feel enough, man. We need this clean house, get rid of this dirty laundry, and get us, you know, a new regime in here ASAP.
Well, that's the real scary part about it. That's the real scary part about it is that right now I don't know what you build upon. You know, I don't know if we have to fire Matt Rule and completely at this point, I don't think Joe Brady can be brought back as offensive coordinator next year. I think Phil Snow is going to be hitched to, I don't think he'll ever fire Phil Snow. But right now we're starting to wonder if Matt Rule should survive this year. Right. I mean, is that what, maybe it's actually is time to rip the Band-Aid off and just rebuild. But then you got to wonder, man, well, should Fitterer, like what do you build on from this team? Mm-hmm. You can't do your first round rookie draft pick this year because he is hurt and you haven't seen him. You can't do Christian McCaffrey because there's already question marks about his durability. What do you build positively on this team?
I mean, there's really nothing. I mean,
That's
really
sad.
nothing.
That's sad.
There's
I mean,
really
maybe we get a rejuvenated Shaq in the back end. What are we going to repay him?
Right.
I mean, yeah, dude. Like, I mean, Shaq Thompson looked good. I don't think anyone, like our linebacking core, Frankie Louvu has played really good. I think that's a name that
Jermaine Carter Jr. All right,
Jermaine Carter Jr. is, I think, another player. But no, listen, your point is not lost, Tony.
Right.
There is not a lot to say that we have something to build on. I mean, even a guy like Brian Burns, it's hard to believe that, he's going to be in his 4th or 5th year coming up here soon, and we're going to have to make decisions on him. Dude, it's just this whole thing has been completely mismanaged. So I really don't know what positive there is to build on. Somebody put it in the chat room earlier. Like last year, at least we had 3 receivers that were almost at 1,000 yards. So you had the idea that, well, maybe you just added a few pieces, make a few tweaks here and there. And hey, maybe this offense can be dynamic. But it's just, that's not how it goes, man.
How about this? Terrace Marshall Jr. has done absolutely nothing for this team. And I know he suffered a concussion, but before that, nothing. Like, I mean, it's not even that Robbie Anderson was dropping the ball all this time. You could say, oh, well, we overpaid Robbie Anderson, but then Marshall won't doing nothing either. Like, nobody's doing anything. I think maybe Tommy Trimble is probably the best player has had the best season. Him and Hassan Reddick. I mean, maybe we'll count some defensive players. The scary part for me is when you call into question what Tepper did, Cody, is that if you're truly right, which, I mean, the evidence continues to pile up. It piled up from the beginning when we all said that the way you build, you bring, or at least this has always been my mantras or my thoughts, is that you bring in a GM and a head coach together, right? The GM and the head coach, because they walk in unison, they're married, and if it goes south, then you can cut all of them and start fresh. Now, what do? You fire Matt Rule, you fire Joe Brady, or what is this? What do you keep Matt Rule and fire Joe Brady, and all of a sudden it's fixed? Or how about this? Is you fire Matt Rule and you fire all the other guys, and then what do you keep Scott Fitterer? It's just a backwards development of the team.
As I mentioned, I feel like we're just constantly.
I know, I like that one. I saw that one too. It's
pretty good.
We're constantly going backwards, and that's the thing, and it's worse and worse every time. That's what I have my biggest problem with right now. Is since David Tepper took over, and say what you will about Ron Rivera, and I think we all agree it was time to move on. We'd had plenty of time with him. Like, when you think about it, I think when you look at these two coaches, Ron Rivera was definitely the more superior between Rule and Rivera, right? So we're going backwards in quality of coach right there. And yes, Matt Rule has the ability to turn it around, but he hasn't shown it yet. He is in year 2. We at least gave Ron Rivera 3 years with a franchise quarterback, which Matt Rule has not had, to his own by his own doing, by the way. But then we decided to let go of Cam Newton after we signed Teddy Bridgewater. Here's the thing that my biggest problem was: you signed Teddy Bridgewater and then cut Cam for nothing, right? At least keep him around to prove, you guys didn't even try to see if he was going to be able to be healthy. Like, if you wanted to bring Teddy Bridgewater in as a just in case something happened to Cam, I was okay with that, right? But you cut him and paid more to Teddy Bridgewater than you paid to Cam Newton.
And a 3-year deal.
Yep.
And
which should have been a 1-year deal.
And then we cut him, and we're eating a lot of his salary this year on Teddy Bridgewater's salary, I should say. And so that we could then trade for Sam Darnold, who we traded away a 2nd-round pick for, a 5th round and a 4th round, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we picked up his 5th-year option without seeing him play a single snap as a Carolina Panther. And then now we're in a position where we were possibly going to be in the trade market for Deshaun Watson, having to give up 3 first-round picks for a guy we haven't seen play in a while. We don't know what his circumstances were going to be. right? All of these things are just moving. Like it's clear that the desperation is stinking on David Tepper right now, and it's a problem. And we're constantly going backwards. I have not seen us take a step forward anywhere except for our defense, and that was it. Like everywhere else, it's been a complete backslide.
Well, this is and this is where a lot of people that they're trying to hate. Well, look, because we all like to tell everybody how they're wrong, and this and that, but.
Right.
We've talked about this stuff incessantly on this podcast, like ad nauseum. We've been doing this every week for 8 years. So like, it's not like when we go back and we said these things, it's just because we have a history, like a log of what we've said.
Right.
And Cody, from the beginning, last year was the tank year, that it should be the tank year. And it's not that, and then he had to argue with the people that said, "Oh, you don't tank, players don't tank," and that's not what we meant or what he meant. What he meant was is that there are ways that you build an organization, or you should. And here, it's either on the offensive line or at the quarterback position, and we did neither. And then go back to the logs, folks. And I did say this when the Sam Darnold trade came along. I said, right now we have 3 quarterback moves that have happened under the Matt Rule era. The cutting ties with Cam Newton, right? The acquisition of Teddy Bridgewater and the trading of Ted, right? So, and then the acquisition of Sam Darnold. Any one of those decisions you can argue the merits for or against, but as a whole, they're all swings and misses.
Yeah.
You haven't hit on one. Oh, and then actually, no, passing on. Here's a 4th one. We can actually say it's 5. Cutting Cam Newton, acquiring Teddy Bridgewater on a contract that was too long, then trading Teddy Bridgewater, passing on and then getting Sam Darnold, and then passing on a quarterback in the draft. Right now, there's 5 different ways we could have handled this that would have been better. And right now, in retrospect, and I know hindsight's 2020, but it really won't that wild of an idea to have. You didn't believe in Teddy Bridgewater because of the limitations that we thought, the ceiling. You had an opportunity to bring in a quarterback in the draft and then put him in a place where you don't have to play him right away, and you decided not to do that.
Yeah.
We could have had Justin Fields watch Teddy Bridgewater get murdered or slaughtered out there, or do pretty well and wait and do it the way that Kansas City did.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to get an offensive lineman, whether you guys could tell me or not that, like, oh, it's a risk, his arms are too short, is this or that. Like, we just didn't do it. And when you don't have an offensive line and you don't have a quarterback, I don't think of any other position that is like bring in the analytics that tell me who makes a bigger change to your team, to the trajectory of your team. It's kind of like drafting Christian McCaffrey, the running back, in the top 10. It's not that he's not a good player. It's just, does it change the trajectory of your team as much as building an offensive line?
No. And by the way, you can even say 6, Tony, if you add in passing on Rashawn Slater, because it's not like left tackle hasn't been a dire need for the Carolina Panthers forever anyway.
For almost 10 years.
And I think the Sam Darnold, experiment, or whatever it is that you would call it, is going so badly that it might kill Matt Rule.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's how bad it is.
So.
Rightfully so. Yes.
Life raft.
Yes.
He picked his own. He picked the smallest, tiniest, easily deflatable life raft that you can imagine, dude. And now I'm supposed to feel bad for him when his ass is about to get eaten by sharks.
Hey,
nah, dude, you're about to be shark shit, bro. That's how the NFL is, man.
But that's how bad the experiment has gone. A guy that was given so much money, you thought there was not a conceivable way that he did not survive this season. You know, I mean, there was a theory. I thought this. We come out and we go 0 for 16. Somehow Matt Rule survives. It's looking so bad. We might have won some games, 4 games.
Yep.
Imagine this is what number. Say we pull out 2 more wins. Is that enough to make you feel confident if you're Matt Rule that you're going to have a job? Is that what the number is? What's the number?
Yeah.
Or what? I don't even know if it's a number. It just can't look this bad.
There is. And it's like right now, the thing that they're going to hold their hat on is Matt Rule's teams turn the corner in year 3. That's what they're always going to hold their hang their hat on. The problem I have
is college though.
But the problem I have is the regression from last year. Like, we have gotten worse as a team than we did last year. And you can blame a couple of different facts to this, right? You can blame injury. We can talk about how our number 1 draft pick was removed from the season, the rest of the season with a foot injury. But we did a lot to replace him with CJ Henderson and Stephon Gilmore. So we can't even use that as an excuse. You can sit here and talk about how our offensive line, we've lost. Cam Irvin has been hurt for so long, which, has been something that we could have expected from the day one. Now Matt Paradis is out for the rest of the season. I mean, Pat Elflein has not been in there. There's so many different things. Christian McCaffrey not being there, even though he wasn't there for the majority of last year either. They're gonna be able to have some excuses, but none are gonna be able to justify the fact that we have regressed in such a tremendous fashion. I don't think that he should be safe after this year. But, Ron Rivera did get the courtesy of a 3rd year. But again, he didn't have the misfires.
They came on strong at the end of the season too. You know what I'm saying? They won like 6 out of their last 9 games in the
3rd season, though. Yeah.
I think that was there's how many?
No, because we went to the playoffs that year that you're talking about. That was 2013. We went to the playoffs 3 years in a row: 2013, 2014, and 2015. And we
had a good late part of the season in 2012 that saved Ron Rivera's job.
No, that was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, 2013 is when he turned it around. But Tony, listen, thank you for giving me a little bit of credit, man, because last year, that is what I was saying, that if you're going to rebuild this football team, you need to set your team up for the future. And last season didn't matter too much. We should have traded away Curtis Samuel. We should have done everything that we could have done to build for the future when there were 4 quarterbacks. Now, look, forget what they're doing now, or you had a quarterback class that was considered to be one of the best of the past decade for quarterbacks. Okay, then before you even know how the draft settles up, you trade for Sam Darnold, and a guy
you took yourself out of the race.
Yeah, but then a guy that could have potentially been our franchise future fell to you, and you were like, nah, bro, we're going to hope that Sam isn't seeing ghosts anymore.
Yep.
You could have traded, you know what? You should have taken Fields and then just traded them cats away anyway for nothing, for peanuts at that point. You should have, we should have kept, and this, people are going to be like, oh, you're gonna be mad at me because I'm gonna be like, you hate Teddy Bridgewater. I do hate Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know why. I got a lot of reasons that are on me too. I understand that, but I would have been fine with us acquiring a quarterback like Justin Fields and keeping Teddy Bridgewater through this season. That to me would have been a very realistic thing. I want to ask you guys, because I thought that's what we were in. I thought we were in a position, to be honest, I thought we were in a position with Sam Darnold, even to a degree, is let him be the one that looks a fool out there, and then have your quarterback because you're there. You have an opportunity. Now, I want to pose this to you. After all the misses we have seen, you know what I think the biggest evidence for me is that like the greatest argument for Matt Rule being fired, okay, is with the misses we've seen at quarterback position. I don't know if I'm ready for him to be in charge of picking our quarterback of the future now.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
What's he going to do that's going to be good? At this point, you've messed everything up. I almost want somebody else making the decision.
I'm so glad you said that, Tony. Who could we trust in this front office or this coaching staff that would make the right decision? Everyone has shown a tendency to make really bad decisions.
Yeah.
From David Tepper to Matt Rule. And listen, we have to kind of get out of the honeymoon phase with Fitterer too, man. Yeah, he made some trades that we liked early. But now, in retrospect, they're not the same anymore, man.
Right.
So David Tepper, Fitterer, Matt Rule, Joe Brady, they've all made decisions that continuously are detrimental to the state of the Carolina Panthers. So why are we going to trust any of these people to then bring in another quarterback and then develop him the proper way? What evidence do we have that we're not going to put him in another terrible situation, just like we did to Brady Christensen and guys like that didn't get a fair shake this year? It's bad, man. The Panthers. I just want to let y'all know.
Let Phil Snow pick the quarterback.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you what I'm more scared
Phil
of?
Snow wasn't Phil Snow the one that told Matt Rule that Sam kind of looks like a younger version of Matthew Stafford? If my memory serves me correct, that is how the story went. So maybe not even
Man, what's he supposed to say? You a dumbass. You shouldn't have done this.
Right.
You should have called me up first.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm more scared of than him drafting the wrong quarterback is him drafting a quarterback at all, because we don't need to draft a quarterback. It doesn't matter what quarterback you draft. You put them behind that offensive line, they're gonna suck. They're gonna get killed.
Right.
They got to go offensive.
Well,
line
you only have two
quarterback.
choices. You only have two choices. You either build the quarterback position, or you build the offensive line position.
Offensive line, yeah, because you're gonna kill every quarterback without it.
But we're just been kicking the can down the road.
We might
in
have to
all of
accept
this
that for a few years.
All of this,
in the position we're in, we might just have to accept that for a few years.
So Tyree Ross says, I'm going to give Scott Fitterer some leeway. Is that, my concern is that, again, the backwards pairing of the GM and the head coach, right? Is that now you bring in, now look, is David Tepper just going to be so upset with the way the season's going that it doesn't matter if he wants to give these guys, any of them, leeway. He just feels like this. I got to start over. So Fitterer might just get killed in this just by riding in the passenger seat with Matt Rule. The other thing is, the one thing I'm a little hesitant about with Scott Fitterer at this point is, were we so bored in free agency and the draft for so long that just because he did stuff, it was exciting?
Yes.
Imagine you have you've been with the girls and none of the girls you ever do gave you any, something like this. And you're like, you finally get a girl that does it and she got herpes. Is that like,
I wish I craziest analogies, man. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it was
we just haven't had any action.
But also, let's be real. We were all high on this football team, man.
It turns out we were all just high.
Dude, I know. Isn't it weird that there was a point in this season where we thought that this Panthers team, like, it's so weird that it's the same year and that we were hearing headlines about how legendary the defense is and they're putting up record numbers for an NFL defense, and then, dude, it just falls.
Turns out Tony was right. You guys made fun of me, but when I realized it, I think I know when the moment I realized it, that it was fraudulent, was the Houston game. The Houston game was the first time in several years that I woke up looking forward to the game, saying we're gonna smoke these mugs.
Yep.
I think we're going to just beat the brakes off of them. And we didn't do it.
No,
we won. And then remember, everybody was like, oh, you're too hard on Sam Darnold and this and this and this. No, I knew right away if we were good, we would be able to beat the crap out of that team. And we didn't. We almost didn't beat them at all. And that's when I knew, because then we go to Dallas and you're like, oh, it's a good Dallas team. Turns out they might be a good Dallas team, but we suck too. We saw problems on the defense in that game with the run game and some different things. Then we saw the offense already beginning its sputter. Then what's next? Philly, stink. Minnesota, stink. Giants, stink. We knew that we were frauds with that Houston game. I think I subconsciously recognized that it was a fraud. We were frauds.
Yeah, man. That's
all right. Let's go to the next call. We got a few more. We'll pound through these real quick.
Hey, this is Physical Savage. Appreciate you, C3.
Physical Savage, what's up?
All I gotta say is, why was Sam out there in the first place? You
Yep.
practice PJ all week.
Yep.
You have a game plan. I mean, you do
Excellent
30,
question.
like you did other quarterbacks. It's not a black and white thing. This is just the whole. As a whole, everybody's been done dirty so far. Brian Burns done dirty. Terrence Marshall Jr. was out for a minute with a concussion. Why is Sam in and he had a concussion? Not alone his shoulder. I just feel it's a little crazy. Just let me know what you think.
First, I think that's a great call. I think that's a great call right there and a great point. Sam Darnold wasn't good before he got his brain rattled around in his head. I didn't say it. I wanted to tweet it because it's rude. I'm not rooting for anybody to be hurt or anything like this, but I was hoping that the concussion rattled his brain into the right place because it was out of whack before. But is it irresponsible to do that? You don't want to embarrass anybody, but man, maybe this guy won't ready, period, when it comes to, like, he wasn't playing good before the concussion. Then you trot him out there on no practice, no this, looking like he's in a daze, kind of. I gotta wonder what is this what is this coaching staff showed to you that shows that they're not in above their head? Even that.
You're looking for an answer. I don't know if any of us are going to be able to give you.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is that we hear give it time, and not this is that no one's defending anybody these days right now, but we all want to give stuff time. But at what point does the evidence, kind of like what episode do we get to when we realize it's a bad show? Obviously, we're on season 2, episode 9 now, and there ain't been a lot of good episodes.
I don't know, man. I'm on season 26, and I've been through a lot of bad seasons. A lot of bad episodes.
Through that, but under the coaching staff one, right?
Yeah.
That's anyway.
Yeah.
Next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey.
What up, Joey?
Yeah, I was actually at this game, guys.
Ooh.
And
Sorry.
there were a lot of Patriots fans, as usual. There's always a lot of away fans at the bank. Always. Except that New Orleans game, people actually gave a shit. But when you talk about fan culture, you're going to get me started because I hate when they do this. I honestly hate it. People were like, that was an empty stadium. Like, that stadium echoed like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And when it echoes, the echo is because it's empty. Like, it's not supposed to echo like that. It's supposed to feel full. I mean, there was an ocean of seats. Like, I could have probably gotten on the... we probably could have gotten on the 50-yard line. There, like, literally no one was sitting there. So... And I get why some people do it. I mean, they like, what is this team giving you? But you can't be like that. I mean, you talk about fans of established teams. No team in the NFL has never had a down period. Okay, and these fans are still sticking around. These fans are like would a Patriots fan, would Patriots Gillette Stadium be empty if the roles were reversed and we were at Gillette Stadium smoking their ass? Would it be empty? I don't think so. Now the Giants fans do it, and they are known for being a loyal fan base. But dude, I mean, New York has a lot of transplants. It's kind of like the Giants and the Panthers are on a similar collision course. But I don't like it that people are not, it's not about believing in a team. It's about sticking with your team. And my parents were wanting to leave. And they said, oh, can we go now? And I was like, no. And they were like, why? And I said, because I'm a real fan. I'm not leaving. just because we're sucking. I want to stick by this team. Anyway, guys, that's just my rant. I can't resist calling when you start talking about fan culture. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Go ahead, Greg. You said you wanted to jump on this one.
I want to comment on this one because I 100% agree with you about how you should be, because I am. I've been a Panthers fan since day one, and I'm sticking with them, and I always will. Doesn't mean I can't dislike what they're doing. What I was discussing earlier about the culture is when you talk about other teams that I brought up, yeah, they've had down times. The difference is they've been around so much longer that they've had successful times. We haven't had a string of continuous success in our entirety. Like, we haven't. It's hard to build fans that want to pull behind a team that cannot, for at least 5-6 years, put together something that looks like a football team. And we haven't been able to do that. That's all I meant. That's why I feel we haven't built the culture that you would in other places, because we're in a, show me now stage.
Well, look at
Everybody wants to win now, so, and if you're not doing it, people will go elsewhere. It's just the culture.
And to build on that, a little bit, is that the one other thing is there are teams that have really poor histories in the football and that have good fans. I look at the Browns, right? The Browns have not had a lot of successful years as an organization. The Falcons is another team. The Falcons have, and I guess as of late they've had some sort of, but they haven't won a Super Bowl that I know of. There are some teams that have some bad histories, but I give credit to the Browns fans. One, because these mugs show out all the time, and they're like they make a party out of sucking, right? But the one thing is that the time that those teams came about, there was less competition for people's interest at the time, right? So think of this as like you didn't get access to all the football games. You couldn't watch all the football games. You watched the game that was in your local market on TV, right? You didn't.
Yeah.
People didn't. The world was
paper.
Yeah, the world was not as interconnected as it is now, to the point where now we have so much to choose from.
Yeah.
Is think about how it is trying to pierce through the noise as a podcast, right? Is that, like, I understand your time is valuable and you have a lot of other things that you could be doing. So that's why I just appreciate anytime someone listens to me say stupid shit on the internet. But we're being built in modern times of entertainment, or I don't know if, like, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the other thing is I don't know if we have the luxury of being able to stink for a long time, long periods.
No. And you know what? A parallel that I made earlier this season is that the Browns owner was once one of the minority owners from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, you know who else was a minority owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers? One David Tepper.
Tepper.
I mean, let's just hope that we're able to look at all of the mistakes that have been made in those teams that you're mentioning, and that we don't repeat the same shit over and over, man.
One other, kind of like what I was talking about with Scott Fitter, like the reason maybe we just we won because he was active and we're used to being inactive, that was exciting for us momentarily.
Yeah.
Tepper being the involved owner was exciting for us temporarily too, because we had the opposite of it. And now we might be sitting here going, he is the issue, the problem, to the degree that people were trying to say Jerry Jones was the problem, or who's the guy that owns the Washington football team?
Dan Snyder.
Right. And then the next thing is you start to hear all these rumors. People say, oh, speculation. But the more evidence that piles up, the less speculative these things become.
Right.
There was a contingent of minority owners that wanted to fire Mike Tomlin at one point.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh. And you got to wonder, is Tepper part of that coup d'etat?
It would have been a bad decision, so probably so.
Yes.
Yeah. Logic points that way. Sure.
And hey, by the way, I remembered something that I cannot forget that I have to criticize about today's game. And I want to see if everyone agrees with me. I don't like are black jerseys with the white pants.
I don't either.
I think that we look stupid. I think it doesn't match. I think we have the silver helmet, the black jerseys, and the white pants.
It looks
But
very
now,
1990ish.
yeah, dude, it's like you're mixing and mashing, and it doesn't mean that it's good, man. And listen, I'm here to tell you, I love the Panthers color combinations. I think they have the best colors in the NFL. I've maintained that the Panthers, it's time to update their uniform a little bit.
Yep.
Other teams have done it with far more history than the Panthers to great success. I think the Panthers need to do that. We need to optimize our uniforms, and we need to get this combination correct, man, because I thought we were looking ugly out there on the football field. That is easily our worst combination of colors that the Panthers wear is the black jerseys and the white pants, the blue stripes. Terrible.
I don't like the black bottoms with the white tops either. That looks just as bad, I think.
This is Jason Harrison said, I'm sorry, but when a team is bad and the season is bad, the fans have every right to be mad, boo, and leave the game. Fans paid their hard-earned money to see a competitive game. This team is awful. You know what? You just got to hope that people are booing still. What you heard is you got some really, really committed fans out there. And then we debated this on Debate My Take. Do fans take football too seriously in reaction to a Hassan Reddick comment? But you've got people like someone in the chat room is talking about coming over from a different country to see this team. You've got Nick and Josh from Mass who have come down 3 consecutive years, making an 850-mile trip. And to the point where if I live 4 hours from Charlotte, and because I have 3 kids, because obviously like every other person that has to work on Monday, it's hard. You got to take time off. You got to go on Saturday. CK and I have done it together. We meet there, we go, we hang. We got to do the post game from Cody's house. We're all cuddled up. It is a chore. It's a chore. It's a labor of love. And if it's that bad for me in a 4-hour trip, think about that. Think about that for these cats that are going to be coming down from other states, coming from other countries. That is a tough thing. So, you know what is that? You don't want more Patriots fans than Panthers fans in there. Then you stop letting us down. Yeah, let's just say the Patriots fans would not have taken over the Bank of America Stadium if they didn't have that run of success with Tom Brady in them.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
All right.
You have to convert those fans into long-time fans. Like that's what Cam Newton did for me, man. Like I've told everybody, like I'm aware of the Panthers' history. Of course, I've done my due diligence with this football team. I know the legends. I know what the Panthers have done. But my fandom didn't really start until the Panthers drafted Cam Newton. And that's how you build us. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm Panthers black and blue till I die, man. Keep pounding till I die. You have to build up that culture, those winning teams, and it's defined by players that you can believe in, that you get behind.
And special times. You know what? I'm going to give all the listeners homework this week. The professor's giving you some homework. Go on YouTube and watch the 2015 NFC Championship game. Go on YouTube and watch the Super Bowl 38. Was it 38? 38.
Yeah, 38.
38. They're special moments. They're special moments. And those moments don't happen as frequently as we want them to happen. But go back and watch them and remember why you bleed black and blue. Next goal.
What up? Jay issue.
Jay?
I don't have no thoughts on this season anymore. Matt Rule took the fandom out. Question that I do have is, where do we go from here? I like Rule as a coach as far as the players and where he want to take a team, but as far as taking the soul out of the locker room, I dislike. I like him over Ron Rivera. He's been with us for 2 years.
Ron ain't never drafted 5 tackles in the first round within his 9 years. So, I mean, that's the only reason why I put Rule over him. Other than that, I'm just over it. But yeah, my question was, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? Jay, I feel you, man. Everyone's feeling that same kind of depression, dude. That same kind of over it, man. It's going around right now. Hey, shout out to Nirvash for the $20 love bombs. Nirvash is the man, dude. Hey, we never asked for money, but we always appreciate it. Thank you so much. Nirvash says, I officially don't trust anyone's ability in this organization to evaluate QB talent. We aren't in QB purgatory. We're in QB hell. And Cam has to be laughing at this mess. And deservedly so, man.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, can I give you another little reason why I'm so upset with David Tepper? Because not only did we move on from Cam Newton, and hey, if you want to make an argument about Cam being washed up or done, fine, dude. Look, we could have that conversation, and you know, whatever. We could argue the merits of that, but then to act like Cam Newton doesn't exist, like he was never a part of this team. Somebody put this on Twitter, and this is in our stadium. We have this big ass logo and banner of the Panthers winning the NFC Championship game after we beat the Cardinals. And dude, just about everyone who played a part on that football team is a part of this mural, man. Look, I mean, Charles Johnson is on there, Thomas Davis, Greg Olsen, Luke Kuechly, and then who are those hands that are just out of view? Oh, yeah.
And don't act like you didn't have the space. Look at all of that space.
Look at the blue. There's way too much fucking blue.
The only thing that I'll say is look at the people that are on that and how many of them are still playing in the league and not actively retired.
Dude, it's
all of those guys are actively retired?
Every one of them.
Well, Cam ain't even in the league, though.
It don't matter, man. Like, it's the fact that dude,
imagine if we won the Super Bowl. What if we had won that Super Bowl? Would they have still left Cam off of that?
We've just been trying to erase him, man. And I put this out on Twitter. It's because of shit like this why many Panther fans don't forgive David Tepper for how he treated David Newton. Or for how he treated Cam Newton. It's one thing to move on, but what you're not going to do is try and erase Cam Newton from our history. Like, he didn't bring the Carolina Panthers to relevance this past decade, man. Do you know how many new fans Cam Newton brought in to be a part of this football team as a fan? Dude, it's not just me. There's so many more, man. The Panthers were a primetime attraction when you had Cam Newton, the 2015 MVP of the league, as your quarterback. And you're just trying to pretend like
kids.
Yeah, dude, he reset the Panthers culture. And now you're just trying to erase this, man? Bro, that's some real sucker shit. And
in the middle of a season that you're giving the 2010 season a run for its money. Awfulness. Like in fan experience is that and I'll remind some things about this is somebody said you want to change the culture in there, lower the ticket prices. PSLs do have a long ways to I think I've made this argument on this show about how they exclude common fans, but I went to a game in 2010 and I had a great time because for the first time ever I sat down on the lower level. We sat on the 45-yard line, 4 or 5 rows back. I mean, people all around. We won stuff. We it was everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like where you get everything. Like players are giving shit out at the end of the game. All of this. We paid $90 a ticket then for those 45, like the best possible seats you can have.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is this: there's a reason those tickets were $90.
Right.
We stunk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We stunk. But like, you go try to buy a ticket to the Panthers game at the lower level after this game, and they still gonna be like $350.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Crazy. You know,
money grubbing, dude. That's Dave Tepper again, man.
That game that I attended was one of the top 5 worst games in Panthers history. Right, I've been going through it. I've got some good arguments. There's a game in '97 against the Denver Broncos that I think is up there. There's a New England Patriots game in 2001 where Chris Winkie threw 3 pick sixes, which I think is up there. This was, I think the Giants game from this year is certainly, I have an argument that it's the worst Panthers performance in the history of our team. But the game that I attended was a 34-3 smoking by the New Orleans Saints. That's the game I was at. And we stayed at the end. I was like, dude, I don't get to come to these. You know, it's a treat for me to go to Charlotte and stuff, you know, especially then. I think about this. This was 2011. So I was, you know, man, like I was young, just starting my career. You know, I got limited funds and some things like that. 28 years old. I stayed to the end. Like, dude, they gave away. We made the Jumbotron twice. Why? Because we were the only Panther fans still there in the fourth quarter. Right. The girl that was with us got got $300. She won the fan award because she like stood up and waved, and they gave her $300 vouchers and plane ticket. Like, that was her reward. The Saints fans in front of us, cats were giving them, because we were on the Saints side. They gave them gloves. Dudes giving their cleats away to the people in front of us. I yelled at Drew Brees and he laughed. Like, I just said this. I can't talk shit about you being a quarterback, but I can say you suck as an actor. He laughed at that. I said, your wife's a better actress than you. He's had this stupid commercial on with his wife at the time. This is terrible, dude. It's a bad moment, because right now, like Nirvash said, I don't know if we can trust. I'm going farther. I don't think it's just QB hell. Can you trust anything from the administrative, from this building above? I don't know. Like, where is the level? Like, I don't even know if I can trust the damn custodian to clean up the damn trash can.
No, and dude, go ahead, Greg.
I was gonna say, do y'all remember the movie Major League? Does it feel like the Panthers are starting to feel like that Cleveland Indians team at the beginning of the movie? It kind of does, doesn't it?
Like Mick Mixon is going to start drinking in the box.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's kind of the vibe I'm getting from the Panthers right now, you know?
Oh, man. Mick Mixon, imagine, you know, did I tell you? God, I told you guys about the puberty thing.
The puberty thing?
Yeah, is that this was the game against the Giants. Yeah, the Giants game. He said this, is that he started his pregame spiel, and it was like, it was a chemical like cortisol. Cortisol is a secretion that you start to make as you hit puberty, and the Panthers then he goes on to say that they're in an adolescent stage and they're trying to find maturity. That was like his thing. It was like built upon, but it was like, I was like, oh God, Mick. But then last week it was about the team being the offense being constipated, and the Panthers having a case of irritable bowel syndrome. Right. Wow. And like, I mean, it was just like, now imagine what Mick Mixon's going to be going deep into the well of metaphors for the Panthers as he drinks himself to death in his final year as our.
No, he's about to go live his best life as a cover band musician. He's about to.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Isn't he a drummer?
Yeah, dude, he's about to be rocking out in jazz clubs on a Friday night, dude. He ain't worried about this bullshit ass football team. Come on.
All right, let's go.
Hey guys, it's Joey again. And you know what? On a more positive note, I was actually we're talking about tell a friend about the C3 Panthers podcast, which I did, which brings me to another point. I got a chance. I actually went to the UNC Charlotte 49ers game yesterday. First time I ever went to a game, and it was actually really cool.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it. And that was a thrilling game. Now, you want to talk about a thrilling game? That was 31-24 in overtime. And we were down 2 scores, and the fans pulled a Panther fan, and, like, started bolting. And I was like, nah, I really don't think they should do this. I think this team's pull it off. And sure as shit, they did. They tied the game, forced overtime, and because college overtime rules are weird.
Yeah.
It does not end when you score a touchdown. The Niners scored, and the other team
They can
got
go
the
back
ball
and forth,
and
right?
Niners
Like
took the
9
ball,
times.
Fireworks went off, and we won. But at least that's good. Nice stadium, by the way, that they got up there. Small and intimate. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Someone said they missed Max Henson on in coverage. We had him on the show. He came in during training camp one time and talked on the C3 Panthers podcast. Also, Joey, I believe, and I don't follow college. I don't follow college football as closely as I want to. It's just I got so much time in the world. I can anyway. But I'm an ECU Pirates fan. I believe the 49ers just got put into the American Athletic Conference, which is our conference. So now we can be rivals, college football rivals. All right, next call.
Hey. You know who the fuck it is. It's G, baby. What's good, fellas?
Here we
What
go.
up, G, baby?
Tell me how I ruined the team, bro.
I am with Cody back on this.
Oh, okay,
David
cool.
Tepper fucked this shit up, man. He fucked this shit up. I'm going to start from the very beginning. This all started where we drafted Will fucking Greer when we still had Cam fucking Newton.
True.
And that draft pick, Will Greer could have been a offensive lineman. And now we got Teddy Bridgewater. We give Teddy Bridgewater a 3-year deal. $33 million of that was guaranteed. He's gone within a year. On to Sam Darnold. We trade a second and a fourth future draft picks for Sam Darnold, and we give him $18 million with a fifth-year option. That's $51 million. $51 million that could have gone to the offensive line, defensive line, safeties, whatever. This shit is fucked up. And what makes it worse is we had Cam Newton with another year on his contract, and it was pennies. It was pennies. We didn't have to pay Cam Newton shit. So
And what would have been the worst that happened? He got hurt?
That put this organization on his fucking back for a decade. For Teddy Bridgewater, and in my opinion, the worst QB in the NFL in the past 3 to 4 years, Sam Darnold. For what? David Tepper. It's not all about analytics, man. It's truly not all about analytics. And whoever signed off on this deserves to lose their job, man.
They're
Matt
not
Rule's
even
gotta get
using
fired.
analytics.
Joe Brady deserves to get fired. I like Phil Snow, but if all of them are gone, Phil Snow's probably going to be gone as well. And I like Phil Snow. But the safety play on this team, I don't believe the defense was the issue, but we got to get better safeties, man. Offensive line and better safeties. And that's why I say that $51 million is gone. And it could have been put towards the offensive line and the fucking safety play. The safety play is fucking hot garbage, man.
It speaks the
We
truth.
can't stop the run. We can't stop the run, and we can't block nobody. If Sam Darnold is just a turnover machine, he is what we thought he was, the worst QB in the NFL. And we traded a second and a fourth for the worst QB in the NFL. And the Jets are over here just chuckling, man. We got finesse. We got played. We look like a bunch of hoes, man. A bunch of $2 hoes is what we are, bro. We're a bunch of $2 fucking hookers.
You got any comments? I got my comment is this is that now I'm getting really worried. You thought I was worried before. Now I'm really worried because it's so bad. G Baby's on that reserve. You know, he's got that. That's reserved, G baby. He didn't need. There ain't no booyaka booyaka. There ain't no yelling it. Like my man is. Even he's fatigued. The most excited person I know about anything. The most excitable person.
It's so bad. He called up, and the first thing he did was agree with me.
Yeah.
It's like that's how you know times are weird for everybody, man.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
worry.
I mean,
you know
look,
what is but he, you know what? He's not wrong at all.
No,
he's
not
not
at
wrong.
all.
Is that
No,
like
not at
his
all.
and this is and going on back is that I told you I had personal reasons for not liking Teddy Bridgewater. And what I mean by like my own internal psychology is because my love and my connection and support for Cam Newton, right? So Cam Newton meant so much to me, no matter who. It's kind of like being the quarterback after Tom Brady.
Right.
Oh, who was that? That was Cam Newton. You know, is that like what they would have to do for you to love them like you loved the previous guy? Would be so much. Like it's an impossible ask. So I understood that. But the thing that I just never got over with the Cam Newton mess was we were kind of in this rebuild moment as a team, and you were doing this bridge quarterback when it was kind of unnecessary. Like what you could have just done. The worst case scenario was Cam Newton gets hurt and you're kind of where you thought you were. The best case scenario is that Cam Newton has had a MVP season. You got to start thinking about him extending his contract. But like we would not, if we had kept Cam Newton, we would not be further backwards than we are now.
Right.
As an organization, we could have then drafted a lineman. We could have built in, and that's what I think G Baby is talking about right here. It's not just the Cam Newton deal. It's all the other things that go also that are connected back to that moment. You know, the ripple effect financially. And this is, I think, I'm really worried about what I think that going with the Sam Darnold route, not picking offensive linemen in this draft, not picking a quarterback in this draft. You're starting to wonder, has Matt Rule made enough errors at this point to not warrant more chances?
I mean, everybody thinks so right now, especially now that we're losing like this. I think there's enough evidence to say yes. But I still think, as sad as it is, we might get another year. How about this? We might see Matt Rule fired before the season is over next year. That's what I think would happen with the way things have been going. If we were going to fire Matt Rule, we should do it at the end of this year. But if we have to do it, we won't do it until probably the middle of next season when we're losing just as bad as we are this year. So, yeah, man, there's just not a lot to be trust, not a lot of trust to be had amongst the people making decisions for the Carolina Panthers on every single front.
All right. Oh, this is a call I missed from 347. So this would have been towards the end of the game. I give them their due. Sorry that took so long.
Telling you gotta clear them out.
Salem currently watching the fourth
Well, I
quarter.
try to play them out of order in the beginning.
This gets played on the post game or next Tuesday. It really doesn't matter. However,
he's the best fan ever.
The offensive line has not given Sam Darnold a chance, and I don't care what majority of people say. Our offensive line is horrible. The defense has really not showed up today, and Chris McCaffrey, for him to come back, I don't know that I would have come back. I think he'd come back too soon because they're limiting his snaps. So Sam Darnold, probably going to need to look for another quarterback. I don't know who we need to get, but it definitely ain't Sam because he's rushing too much. And it could be that his picks are because of the daggone offensive line not giving him time.
It's both.
If you think about it, how in the world can anybody throw a goddamn football and get it to anybody in less than a second because he's got somebody in his face? Anyway, just want to know your thoughts on the offensive line, and I've agreed with everybody else so far that's called in the last several shows. Offensive line is terrible, and we need to get some offensive line people. And if we can't get anybody for offensive line, I don't know why we have a daggone football team. But anyway,
Yep.
all right, guys, keep pounding. I appreciate the call and also the good show that you guys put on every day. Be listening for the post game later on this evening. All right, talk to you later.
Man, thank you.
Appreciate it,
You're right.
man.
It's a calamity of, it's just like everything's bad. So you can't put it all on one thing, but you can put it on everything. I think this is an interest. I just saw this tweet from Czech Panther. He said, listening to at Nick Wilson on WFNZ, so that's the Charlotte radio station sports show. He said, and I love it. He said, time for Charlotte sports media to stop playing patty cakes with this Panthers franchise. Haven't I told you guys that we had the nicest, like, we don't even like ask tough questions?
Yeah, but what? Okay, let me ask you, Tony. What does that mean? Let's get down to brass tacks. What does that mean specifically? What would be like our media to do that they aren't currently doing right now?
I think it means that they want them. I think that we have an idea that the media in Charlotte is such a small force, I guess, right? There's only so many outlets that all of them try to play it like journalists. Right. And so they're just like, oh, I can't take what we want them is kind of firing bullets like we do up here at them a little bit and asking like this is, do you think that they're like, what can you point to in this organization right now that is any good? Like that kind of question. I think you just need kind of a radical, well, I think we just want a little radical voice. And maybe you could be overwhelmed by that, right? Is you don't want to be prisoner like of like what Philly. So Philly's they just get lost on the last second field goal, 27-24 to the Chargers. And you could see like Philly media like calling for them to burn the city down type thing. Like instigating the revolution. And I think that's kind of I don't know. That's a good question though. When you say you don't want a patty cake media, what does that entail?
Yeah, like does that mean kind of throwing barbs at them? Like, Matt, your offensive line is clearly one of the worst that the Panthers have ever had. What do you intend to do? Like, is it just more subtle jabs? Like, how do you, from a media perspective, hold feet to the fire when it's like really not like in your job description, I guess?
There was a sense in Charlotte media. I have gathered this just from talking. I don't have a lot of relationships with people in the media, but over the past 8 years, I've talked with some of them. And I think there was a sense that like if you came too hard at the Panthers and your opinions outside of the press conferences, on talk radio, or even in the press conferences, that you kind of get out of the inner circle of them letting even like calling your name anymore. So you had to like play. It was kind of like, remember when what did they have to call Mr. Richardson? Like it was something they had to like that people called him, and it was like, yes, it was like, it felt like it was like an old remnant of a plantation system where they called him. It was like, basically, it feels like you have to play
or some shit.
It's whatever it was. But I think that maybe some of that is maybe when we see media, we're not just talking about the guys in the press conference, but we're talking more about like talk radio.
Yeah.
Us. Like it's okay for us to be fucking freaking out. And I do think I think that's the question I would ask. I don't even know if that's even throwing a barb. I would ask is like, what's one good thing that a fan can hold on to about the organizational direction of this team?
Yeah.
I don't think that's an unreasonable question.
No, Ja Rule with a great comment here. He says, I listen to WFNZ every day. They don't rip the Panthers like they do in Philly, Boston, New York, or DC. I think they kind of. Well, but listen, dude. Yeah, no, I disagree. I mean, why not? If you're a part of the Charlotte Observer, or
I'll tell you why,
whoever, if you're a part of them, it's not like, what are they going to take away your media credentials just because you've been like angry at saying that the Panthers are backsliding or whatever? Like, I kind of think that it's what Tony mentioned. Like, they want to be good journalists, and they view themselves where they're not necessarily in a big media market, so they want to make sure that the work that they do is just tried and true journalism, and maybe that's kind of it. But I just feel like there's no retribution they can take out against, radio people or media people for just speaking openly and honestly about how terrible the football team is.
Right, because being tried and true would be being realistic about how terrible it is. You're absolutely right.
Right.
You know?
The other part, and this is where the Panthers are at a disadvantage, and this is, I mean, I agree. I think the media knows they would be taken out of the inner circle if they were to report too harshly, and I'll tell you why. The Eagles can report the way they do for one reason. They ain't afraid of losing a fan base. They're going to have their fan base at the same level and continue to grow because it's going to be passed down from one family to the next. The Panthers don't have that luxury. We don't have a legacy of Panthers fans that are like constantly passing that stuff down. And if you're in the Charlotte area and all you do is hear your radio shit talk a team, you're not going to be necessarily likely to say, yeah, I want to be a fan of them. Like, the majority of people in Charlotte are not Panthers fans. And I only know that from my own experience of having to talk to people down there and actually have phone calls either as debt collector or a salesperson for Wells Fargo. Every person I talk to in Charlotte, are you a Panthers fan? No, I'm not a Panthers fan. The majority of people are not. And if you're like a family member of somebody and you're trying to decide who you want to be a fan of, and you hear shit talking of the team that's local, you're not going to want to fucking be a fan of them. So that's why the Panthers are probably the way they are, and making sure that, like, if you are media and you're just talking shit about the Panthers all the time, well, you're not going to be very, very likely to get interviews for, certain things. Why do you think Charlotte Vibe is doing so well and actually getting interviews with people like Zane Gonzalez and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I did. Did you guys watch that interview?
I did.
I haven't had a chance to watch it. I hope he asked my question of when he made that 58-yarder. Did he think it was insane?
Yeah,
that was my question.
You and your dad jokes, man.
The one thing. Do you think that some of the media, but the media might be a reflection of the Southern personality? I mean, we're slow talkers. We're country folk. We don't live, people from up north would say we live like really boring lives in a way, right? There is an anxiety that comes with living in the north that creates this, like, the Yankee culture, right? I mean, you turn on the talk radio, so the callers are fired up, everybody's fired up. Is the Southern personality. Maybe our journalists are just a reflection of the Southern personality. I don't expect that the Jacksonville Jaguars media is really firing the big questions at them either.
No. I mean, but again, we're new. But
another team that's young that maybe doesn't have the luxury of doing that too. And
there's what? We're not okay, I know obviously we're a Panthers podcast. We're talking about Panthers issues, but we aren't the only team that has to deal with this stuff. I mean, the Cardinals are one of the best teams in football, and the other night the Packers fans swarmed their stadium. It happens to the Jaguars, the Titans, the Falcons. It happens to. So we're definitely not alone in it. But again, we don't give a fuck about these other teams. The Panthers are trying to build a culture, and every single time David Tepper and Matt Rule claim to do something that's in benefit of building Panthers culture, it ends up being a bad thing and something that's ultimately negative. So
it's like, this, Cody, it's this bad. What do you think about those uniforms? Those are ugly. Those are the Panthers' first uniform. Or, like, I don't even know if they ever wore them.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Those are terrible.
This is what you don't like, which is I told you that was an old 90s type throwback, the white pants and this gray. But this was, I think, the mock-up of there. It looks like they took a Detroit Lions jersey and put a Panther on it.
Yeah. That's what
yeah, exactly. So, all right, last call of the night goes to G Baby, I think, again.
It's G Baby. gave Matt Rule a 7-year fucking contract, bro. For what? Because he fucking turned around Temple and motherfucking Baylor? I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't give a fuck about Temple and fucking Baylor, G. I'm talking about what's going on now in the NFL, man. We had Eric Bieniemy, but we gave Matt Rule a fucking 7-year contract. There's a lot of fucking bad fucking moves we made, and we're gonna be done. I mean, I believe this puts us back, 3 years? I would say. I was gonna say 2, but 3 because we don't have no draft
That's the
capital.
worry. That's where the fear really is creeping in.
But I said it from the beginning. We should have fucking got Justin Fields, man. You draft Justin Fields and you fucking still have your 2nd and your 4th round draft pick to build around him the next year.
Yep.
Not trade it for the worst QB in the NFL and sign a 5th-year option. We gave Sam Darnold $18 million fucking dollars for this. So I don't know, boys. Oh man, Cam Newton, man. We gave Graham Gano a fucking farewell, but we didn't give Cam Newton one, man.
Right.
Hell, dude.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. You're
He's
trying
been
to
talking shit about us ever since, too, Graham.
A fucking donation. Donating fucking turkeys with Cam Newton and his family and his grandmother.
Yeah.
And then the next month, you fucking cut him. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. That's a spit in the fucking face. Cam Newton deactivated his Facebook because it's like, you go and get the vaccine, you do the right thing, and Aaron Rodgers is over here fucking lying. And the nigga can't get a job, and he got the vaccine. He got the vaccine. Why can't Cam Newton get a fucking job? He's getting blackballed, and it's bullshit. But Aaron Rodgers over here fucking lying through his fucking teeth. It's fucking fucked up, bruh. It's a fucked up world we fucking live in. I'm out.
Derek Mills said, "Is he crying?" I was like, "No, that's like that. That's not even angry, G baby."
Right?
No, we've seen G baby angry.
Yeah,
but
that's just him having a conversation with his moms.
G baby has definitely been more turned up than that before. But Tony, that's why, you know what? We're not gonna call Cam Newton he who shall not be named anymore. No, the C3 podcast says loudly and proudly the name Cam Newton, and I personally don't give a fuck who doesn't like it, dude. Cam Newton is the reason why I'm a Panther fan, and we're not going to do like David Tepper and try and erase this man's existence like he's so desperately trying to do. Can't do it, won't do it, can't happen, bro. Ace Boogie all the way. I'm not even saying bring him back. If anything, I don't want to see Cam Newton die a slow, painful death behind this offensive line. I think it would be better than Sam Darnold, and yeah, it'd be a cool story to talk about. But I don't think our season would be saved if we brought Cam back. Point remains the same. We are not going to erase Cameron Jarrell Newton from the history of the Carolina Panthers because that's what our ownership wants us to do. And if he wants us to do it, we're going to do the fucking opposite, bro.
I tell you one thing is, let me see if I got this. Is this it? Nope, it's not it. Hold on. I'm trying to show. You see this Cam Newton, him in pink? This new, I just saw this. This is what's going around right now. Why is it not an option? Chrome tab, tweets liked. Here we go. You see this outfit, this get up?
Yep.
Bring that man. You know, I'm a little bit with you. Is it would be one thing, you know, wouldn't it be the worst thing ever for the Panthers to ruin Cam Newton's football career and then bring him back only to ruin his life after football?
Yeah, it'd be the most Panther thing ever,
like he can't even. Like he got. All right. I got one last football question, then we'll do our. We got to do our motions of the towels and the this and the that. I know it's hard. My last football question is this: I know that you said you believe Matt Rule is going to be coaching the Panthers next year, right? What would happen though? What would need to happen at this point or this season for you to say that that's not the right move?
them not to fire Joe Brady.
Okay. So if we just keep going through this and Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator, that's enough for you to say that Matt Rule shouldn't get a third. But that's what I guess I'm kind of asking is what would it take this year for you to definitively say Matt Rule does not need a third year?
Oh man, to say that we don't need a third year, I would say
like to the where you would be mad on day one if Matt Rule is the coach next year.
Yeah, okay. So listen, all right, so I'll put it this way. Let's say we're playing the Cardinals and they just start shit stomping us like we think that they're going to. If we're in the third quarter and he's still trotting out Sam Darnold and Christian McCaffrey and everybody just to get beaten up for meaningless points that don't mean shit. And then I'm like, all right, dude, I'm fucking out. I've seen enough Matt Rule. And again, man, even Joe Brady, like, dude, I'm telling you, and I know I'm gonna catch shit for this, and I swear to fuck, I'm not defending Joe Brady, but like, he's never gonna be the fall guy. If you're gonna fire coaches, then you might as well fire Matt Rule.
No,
I mean, there's so many problems on the football team. Your quarterback is throwing directly to the other team. You have zero offensive line. And again, I'm not defending Joe Brady here. But what I'm saying is that he's never going to be the culprit that, oh, once you ask him, yeah, then we're good. That means we're making the necessary changes. No, if we fire Joe Brady, it means that he's the fall guy, just like everybody said Marty Herney was the fall guy at one point in time.
No, I disagree with this take.
I agree. I agree with Tony. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think right now you've got to look at what is the biggest problem with our team right now, Cody?
Dude,
our
quarterback and offensive line and our
offense as a whole. Our
entire offense
as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So we can all agree, outside of a couple of bad games, our defense has played really well, correct?
They played well enough to be contenders.
I would say better than.
Yeah, they played well enough.
They've been better than average.
They're the best part of our football. They're the best part of our football team.
If we had a good offense, our defense would be number one defense in the league, or at least top 5 defense in the league. With because the problem that we've had with them is they're being trotted out on the field with like they have no break whatsoever. The time of possession is heavily in favor of the opposing offense, so our defense is on the field way too much. My point being is like our weakness is not our defense. Our weakness is not our special teams. It's not great, don't get me wrong, but our special teams is not a weakness right now. Our weakness is the offense. So that boils down to one person, and that is Joe Brady. If you want to talk about Matt Rule having been a failure in certain aspects, you can, but you also got to acknowledge that he did get this defense up and running, regardless of whether you want to think it's him or not. If you want to say that he didn't have anything to do with the defense, you got to say he had nothing to do with the offense too, right?
But no, if you're gonna give Phil Snow the credit, or if you're gonna give Matt Rule some of the credit for what Phil Snow did on defense, then you have to give Matt Rule some of the blame for how shitty our offense is.
I think you're talking about percentages here, though, right? Because like Matt Rule still has his fingerprint on the offense, but he's not the main reason. Just like if our defense was shitty, I wouldn't blame Matt Rule completely. It'd be more on Phil Snow. Matt Rule definitely still has his fingerprint on it, though.
I think we're kind of talking two different questions, though, when we're when you phrase it that way, Cody. And what I mean by that is, unless the offense significantly changes this season, I don't know if you're Matt Rule and you can bring Joe Brady back as your coordinator. Like, you might not even have to fire him this season, mid-season, because you're right. I mean, maybe but you're talking about kind of that end of Ron Rivera's tenure where it was them or me.
Yeah.
And we're going to be close at the end of this season. If the offense continues to look like it is right now, Matt Rule is in a position where it's Joe Brady or me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might not be, you know what? He might be Matt Rule might be part of the problem too. But then that's what all right. So if Matt Rule doesn't take that initiative at the end of this season, you got to worry about if you're Matt Rule, Tepper coming out and saying, well, you know what? Fuck all y'all. I get me.
Yeah. I mean,
some new people.
Again,
I'm thinking
when your receivers don't get open and they're not continuously getting open, when you constantly have free blitzers in the quarterback's face, and then when you have your quarterback continuing to make everything worse when there are better decisions to be had, it's like, yeah, I get it. And you're right, Tony. It's like if Matt Rule's in the position where if someone's got to get fired, yeah, it's going to be Joe Brady over him, no doubt. But at the same time, he's just the fall guy, man. Like, yeah.
Well, then that means that, you know what? I think you might already be at the position that Matt Rule should not be the coach next year. Then
I am at that position.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
Because if Joe Brady's just a fall guy, right? Then that means Matt Rule sucks.
I've been criticizing Matt Rule since before the season started, and the reps that they were giving guys on the offensive line and playing Taylor Moton, not letting him try left, not letting Brady Christensen try left, not giving Deontay Brown some snaps. Yeah, all I've done this, from since when Bridgewater was here to this season is I've criticized Matt Rule and I've tried to be fair. I think we have all tried to give this coaching staff the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, maybe these are the guys. Maybe these are the dudes that are going to bring us to the promised land. But, dude, the proof is in the pudding. The results are in. They are not the guys, man. I'm sorry.
So let me ask you, Cody, if Matt Rule is here next year, period, like if we know that he's going to be here next year as the head coach regardless, what do you think we do with Joe Brady? Is Joe Brady still here?
No, I mean, no. If Matt Rule is out the door, then so is everyone.
No. If Matt Rule is the head coach next year, regardless, what do you want to have happen with Joe Brady?
Well, I need to see a step forward in the Panthers' offensive line. We would have to have better offensive line.
How can you sit here and say, I want Matt Rule gone, period, but if Matt Rule isn't gone, I'm okay with Joe Brady being here? How can you say that too? Like you're basically saying you said you're not.
Is there a reasonable pathway?
But no, because that's not probable anyway. If Matt Rule is fired, then Joe Brady's out the door.
Right. So I'm not asking that question.
Yeah.
I'm asking
right now. He's just saying, what is the pathway for Joe Brady to be the offensive coordinator next year? Is there one?
Let's forget about.
Okay, but CK, what's gonna be better if we go out and hire some other offensive coordinator and our offensive line and our quarterback situation are still just as bad? Everyone's going to be asking for that guy to be fired too.
But you understand what I'm going at right now. You're putting, like you said, you're not defending Joe Brady, but in the same breath, you're saying no other coordinator would be able to do what he's doing. Well, by that same vein, you're saying that nobody can do it because right now the only person that can really dictate the roster is technically Scott Fitterer. So you're giving the same accountability to Matt Rule that you're giving to Joe Brady in that case. Joe Brady is not the answer, and I think it's clear in his play calling. Regardless of what he has been a below average play caller. He has been a below average coach. He doesn't even, regardless of what you think about, his possibilities, he has shown nothing to indicate he is a good offensive coordinator at all, period. There has been nothing that's indicated to me that he is the answer. And if you're saying outside of Matt Rule, regardless of Matt Rule's statute, whatever his status is next year, you don't want Joe Brady fired.
I'm saying all the plays that are left on the football field, when our receivers are dropping passes, when our quarterbacks overthrow, like there were plays to be made. The play calls haven't necessarily been the main reason why everything has gone downhill.
You want Joe Brady to be the offensive coordinator is the question I'm asking.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is unless we are able to get a massive proven upgrade at the position, I'll tell you what, I'll make it very clear. What I'm saying is I think that if we had better personnel and guys that were winning their matchups, I don't think Joe Brady would be as big of a problem as people are making him out to be.
But then you know what? You should never take a job of a bad team then.
Yeah,
because you have no chance of it getting better. Because then Joe Brady is just a helpless agent in this process.
That's what I was about to say. Right now, what you're telling me is if I don't have to be a good coach, then I'm okay. I should stay the coordinator. Like, a good coach isn't just about getting good personnel. It's about coaching your team up. And right now, we can all agree the leader of that offense is Joe Brady. And this offense has failed on all levels, period. Every level that you could possibly fail at, this offense has failed at it. Quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, and occasions running back, just everything. And right
nobody's
now,
been good. Even our best player hasn't been good.
and that's basically like saying, if he has good personnel and they're executing, people don't just execute. Like, coaching is a big part of this. That's just basically saying if he doesn't have to do any work as an offensive coordinator, then no big deal. Then he should be the coordinator.
It's going to be hard to find some, if you can't find an upgrade over this, I'm sorry. Like, if you can't find an upgrade over this at this point, I got some questions. I don't care what personnel's out there. I've seen us have less talent at positions than this before in the past.
Be more competitive. Yep.
All right. So I asked, what do you think? Like, what would it take for you to reach the point where you don't believe that Matt Rule should be the head coach in 2022? Greg, do you have something specific? I have something that is related to Joe Brady too.
Well, my points were basically exactly what Cody and CK were saying there. It has to do with what Joe Brady is, but I'm already at that point. You guys have known my opinion about Matt Rule. I didn't like the hire. I haven't put faith in him since he's been here. I started to kind of believe through 3 wins this year, but I'm already at the point where I think Matt Rule should be the coach anymore. I never thought he should have been.
I I think this is going to be my argument too. Go ahead. I already listed it as one of the debate my take topics, Cody. Is there a reasonable pathway for Joe Brady being the offensive coordinator in 2022? Like, is there something reasonable he could do that warrants him keeping his position? All right. And I only think there's one thing. I gotta give you part of my argument right here. Is I think we got this system, we got to come in and learn another system. Joe Brady's system ain't working, bro. And I think this is that you have an offensive line that can't stand up, that can't block anybody. There was a point where I tweeted this today: has anybody made a block on this offensive line today? You have a quarterback that is terrible. I think what you have to do, if you're Joe Brady, you got to try to survive from week to week, your position. You are at that desperation mode. And what I think I would do right now is I would completely overhaul the offense. And I would say this is now we're going to make this a running quarterback team. You know what? Sam Darnold showed me he can run the ball. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start running the ball at the quarterback position like crazy. I'm not going to care about his health. Do you think I got to worry about his durability in the long run, his shoulder? If you bring in PJ Walker, you better not just try to run this offense. You should be trying to do. You got to make that offensive line better. And you can't make it with new players. You got to find a way to do it differently. I was thinking this. You remember when we were backed up, it was 3rd and 25, and we were standing on the 5-yard line and whatever, or the 4-yard line. It was early in the game. And it was like, oh my God, there's no way. And they said, oh, they're just going to have to underneath pass this. I think I would have ran a damn QB draw and just see if I could get Sam Darnold to run straight up the gut after a second of looking like he's going to pass, just to get us some breathing room. It would have been better than that 4-yard or 2-yard swing pass to Ian Thomas that they threw.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Joe Brady is going to, I don't need anything that's like it's not crazy. It's not gadgets. You're going to have to change your offensive philosophy because you don't have the people to do what you want to do. And that's what you have to do as a coordinator. You have to work with what you got.
So what would happen? Can I ask a question real quick? Like what would happen if we fired Joe Brady? So you're just going to get some guy in and the mindset is, oh, well, he's just going to coach them better. He's going to be a better coach.
Damn right.
Is that the whole mindset?
Hey, look at, absolutely. Look at
it would be better. We would get more than 6 points.
You blamed missed tackles on Ron Rivera and the defensive coordinator. You got to blame drop passes and not executing on offense.
I thought about you the other day when I was thinking about that.
But Ron Rivera was also the head coach, and not tackling had been a consistent problem over a number of different years.
2 years.
Why do
in, we
you
still have the
not
same
think
issues with
that
Joe
it
Brady.
could? Why do you think that there is? It almost sounds like you don't believe there's a situation where the Panthers' offense could be any better than it is right now. And we're not saying this. And we're not. I don't think anybody's arguing that you bring in a new offensive coordinator and all your problems are solved. No one's arguing that. Is that we're saying this? Is that it wouldn't? We've had 2 games where we haven't scored a touchdown in 12 quarters.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like who could you bring in and not be better?
That our quarterback is playing like one of the worst in the NFL. Our offensive line is utter fucking dog shit. Our receivers aren't making plays and dropping passes. Like there's so many different. What we're learning is that this Panthers football team was not built in the correct way. Maybe Joe Brady does need to be fired. But what I'm here to tell you is that whoever's going to come in, like if you're thinking that someone's going to come in and teach this current offense and just coach them up better, like they would be better, I'm telling you that shit, that's not how it works, man.
Well, here's here's the thing. What is the most creative thing you've seen Joe Brady do all year? And I'll tell you what it is. Today, DJ Moore took the snap from the center. That was the most creative thing I've seen Joe Brady do all season long at all. Yeah. Like
that shuffle pass to Tommy Tremble was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting. So we have 2 interesting play calls that he hasn't actually. Like, I mean, it's been vanilla. Like that's the thing is when you watch this offense, if we're failing on all these different counts, you can't just continue to have your plays be just simple run, pass. They talked about it even in the broadcast today. Joe Brady's offense: run, pass, run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. Like that's all his offense is. He might deviate from that from time to time, but his first decision is always run the ball. Like that is it's so vanilla and so easy. There's nothing he does to create misdirection. Like when you have Christian McCaffrey, you should be out there motioning him. You should be doing everything you possibly can to provide misdirection for that defense.
Well, he hasn't had Christian McCaffrey recently.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but he didn't change it today. Like that. Even with that, like even last year, even with the 2 guys that he has with Chuba Hubbard, who is still also a pass catching threat, even though he's been dropping balls. Like you have Amir Abdullah, like it's not creative. Like it's something that's vanilla. And when you have a guy like Stephon Gilmore, who's coming in here after 1 week and can run our wide receivers routes for them, like that's a problem. And that's what you're seeing. You're not seeing the wide receivers get open because Joe Brady's route tree is garbage.
Okay, hey, we're gonna have to disagree to disagree because I mean,
I just want to look at this.
Is that if we had let me ask you this. Do you think that if the Panthers had managed to rebuild their offensive line, and let's just say we got Deshaun, right? And forget the quarterback, whoever could get the ball to the guys, do you think we would still be having this conversation about not putting up any points in third quarter and all this? Like, would it still be the same thing?
That's an unfair argument, man. If I have a Ferrari, of course I can win more races. You know, come on, dude. That's an unfair argument. Of course, yeah.
Do you not think another
talent? If I pick the Kansas City Chiefs or a high power team on Madden every game, I have a much better chance.
So how are you supposed to win driving a Prius?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Did you think Mike Shula was a good offensive coordinator?
No, I think that he continuously showed himself.
We went 15-1 under his tenure with a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also had players.
Exactly. Yeah, look, I think Cody,
if Joe Brady could have a Mike Shula like season with some better pieces on the football team, then is Joe Brady still the issue?
He hasn't. But he hasn't.
And he never
will.
hasn't.
But that's
he
the
hasn't.
problem.
No, and you're starting to worry if he can. And here's the thing, Cody, you were making this argument though, is that if you had a Ferrari, could you win the race? Well, that's acting like everybody else has a Prius. The thing is that like if we were racing in go-karts, all of us, and I don't know NASCAR, so somebody give me a kind of like a David Andretti type name, right?
Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle. Do you think that you're gonna he's gonna beat my ass in that go-kart just like I'm you know what I'm saying? It don't matter. Is that and you give him a Ferrari, give me a Ferrari, he's still gonna beat my ass. Right now, it doesn't look like this. Is that Joe Brady? This offense is so bad that I don't know how you could you know what? I don't have time to even figure out if I gave you a Ferrari. You think I'm gonna give you crashed the go-kart, bro, into the wall. You think I'm gonna let you drive the Ferrari?
No, I mean I'm taking all of the ire that you guys have towards Joe Brady. I'm sending mine towards Matt Rule.
Well, then you know what is that? Here's the key. So then, what I think maybe I'm trying to encourage you to take the position of there's nothing Matt Rule can do, right? Or you know what, Matt Rule has got to be the one that does something this season that makes him so he should have the job next year. Because right now at this point, I don't see any evidence that it would be wise to proceed forward with any of these dudes.
Well, whose job is more dependent on each other? Is Matt Rule's job more dependent on Joe Brady being successful, or vice versa? Because I feel like Matt Rule's
because Matt Rule could fire Joe Brady right now and try to salvage it.
That's
Joe Brady's job is 100 dependent on Matt Rule. And I don't know how could you imagine being Matt Rule and walking into David Tepper's office at the end of this season for that meeting and saying, well, this rebuild's taking a little bit longer than I hoped, but I still have faith in Joe Brady being the guy that leads this offense. How do you think that conversation is going to go over?
I mean, dude, I think Matt Rule, again, I could easily see if Matt Rule is going to end up being here next year, which I think that it's likely that he is. I could easily see Joe Brady still being here with him. We might not like that.
I don't see it at all. On top of that, I want to put this. Somebody said he's got 1 foot out for Louisiana, LSU. I don't think he could get the job at a community college right now in Louisiana. If you're LSU, you really gonna go and invest all of this in a guy who has had 2 games where you ain't scored a touchdown in 12 weeks? Like, why do you think he's gonna be good?
All right.
I've seen nothing that indicates to me that Joe Brady is a good offensive coordinator.
I agree.
Like, my biggest thing, and this is where I have the biggest problem with Joe Brady, is he has failed to adjust. And when he has success, he just becomes, oh, that's what I need to do. And he just continues to do that. And then it's just easily, like, defenses are not afraid of our offense whatsoever. The offensive play calling, every time that there was a bootleg, guess what? There was somebody in the backfield within 2 seconds. Like Sam Darnold would take the bootleg, turn around, and immediately somebody was already there, because Joe Brady does not know how to disguise his coverage or disguise his play calling. And also, we don't know how to execute. And that's, again, if there's an issue with execution, it falls entirely on Joe Brady. You're not coaching these guys well enough. You're not practicing the things you need to. And it's been criticized already. If we want to, whether we like it or not, Teddy Bridgewater talked about Joe Brady as in a negative light when he left. And we're seeing a lot of those same issues continue. And if you have a player that's leaving, speaking out, as much as we hated Teddy Bridgewater, you've got to take some light and, okay, well, it's clear to me that Joe Brady's in and over his head. He should never have been put into this position this quickly. He should have had to, work his way up. He basically went from being an assistant, offensive coordinator in college to an offensive coordinator in the NFL, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think that Matt Rule's got to win 4 more games to have the job next year.
To keep his job?
Yeah.
Well, he ain't keep his job then.
I think anything less than 4 right now, and the reason I say that is I would not have put so much emphasis on wins early before this season. It wouldn't have been wins that was. But right now, the team looks so bad. Right? It's not like, hey, you were competitive. What did we say last year when we lost these games? It wasn't that we didn't get nobody. We were actually all right with when we lost games because we felt like we were competitive. We were going to, we were taking these games down to the wire at times, right? And you were getting stronger. This team has been uncompetitive. And unless we win 4 games, more, you gotta believe. Like, do you see them getting tough all of a sudden, becoming a tough team to play down the stretch, where they're giving you kind of like what the Eagles are doing? The Eagles go in, there's like they're playing. You know what? They've lost a bunch of games, but they've taken the Bucks down to the wire. They took the Chargers down to the wire. They look like Sirianni, looking like what we want Matt Rule to look like at this point, Mr. Processes. So I don't think our team has the toughness for them to be able to lose all season long and us feel good. I think the offensive line is just such a bunch of wusses that we don't have a tough team, that alpha team. So I think we have to find a way to manufacture 4 wins, because if you can't do that somehow, I think all of us are going to be like, oh, this is hard to watch. This is hard to watch. This is hard to watch.
Yeah, it's been hard to watch. It's going to be hard to watch. And by the way, if you're right, Tony, that we need to win another 4 games for Matt Rule to feel safe, well, maybe we shouldn't win another game. Maybe it's just
right. Well, I mean, the reason I
burn.
The reason I say 4 is because the Dolphins are having a cruddy season, right? The Falcons are having a cruddy season, and the Saints are getting injured to the point. So there's 3 games in theory. You think that those teams are weak enough that they also are hobbled opponents that you might, and then you got to find one game that you shouldn't have won in there. And then we would be like, you know what? This team really at the back end of the season did enough. Because right now I feel like I'm a guy that always says 3 years is the number that you need at the very minimum. But at some point you got to cut. If you see something that's a problem, hire slow, fire fast. All right, let's call give the game ball, the dab on them pick. Is there any player or person involved with the Carolina Panthers that merits any accolade?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first, man. I mean, it's kind of a simple answer at this point, but yeah, I'm going Shaq Thompson, man. I think Shaq is continuously the only real bright spot on this football team. Dante Jackson's had some moments. There have been some guys that have had some good moments, but I really do think Shaq, when he's playing well, he looks like a top 5 linebacker in the NFL, man. I'm loving the number switch. I love what he's doing. Yeah, nothing more said. Shaq Thompson.
I can go. There's not a lot to pick from in this game, so I'm just going to pick some good plays. Stephon Gilmore's interception was played really well. Perfect position. I mean, granted, it's from his prior team, so I don't know if it had anything to do with him being able to know the plays, but he played that perfect. It was it made me happy that we added somebody to the team that made a difference.
All right, CK. Crickets.
Listen, I mean, I hate that it's all going defense, but I mean, well, how about this? Christian McCaffrey came out and showed why he's an elite running back, or at least a pass catching running back. It's just only so much he can do, when you can't get the ball out to him. So Christian McCaffrey will get my dab on him pick today.
My dab on him pick goes to Josh from Mass and Nick Montiero. Who drove all the way down from Massachusetts and suffered through this game and are still Panther fans afterwards. You know what? I'm calling for this. I'm lobbying for the Carolina Panthers to refund them their ticket money. These 2 players, or to give them some gas money. David Tepper should send them some Bitcoin like Aaron Rodgers sent out that Bitcoin for their gas money. That's what that would be the right thing to do, David Tepper. Towel of shame or whatever.
Or whatever, man.
What do we call it? The towel of
whatever
pout,
whatever the lame one is.
Yeah. I'll stick with the mic. I'm gonna give it to Matt Rule. I give the towel of shame to Matt Rule because this is that he's preached to us doing things the right way. this team has not done it the right way. Whatever that is that at the end of the day, there's so many problems on this football field that calling anybody out but him first, I think, would be irresponsible.
All right, you guys want to?
Yeah, I can go real quick. I'll go with Robbie Anderson, just simply because, while I get you understandable you being upset with somebody else for not playing well, you haven't done shit this year, and you've had opportunities to do stuff, and you aren't doing it. So you have no right to really get on to anybody about anything. You know, I can get emotion in the game, but dude, you're garbage this year. I'm so tired of hearing every announcer when they talk about Robbie Anderson say, "Oh, he had a 1,000-yard season last year. He had a good year last year." Every single one of them says that. It's like, this is not last year anymore. Like, it's now. Have a good year now, or stop complaining.
All right. Who you got, CK?
Okay.
I'm going the other side of the field. My towel of shame is going to Mac Jones for being one of the first people that I've ever seen be a dirty offensive player. Like, dirty to a fucking T. Like, Ndamukong Suh, Vontaze Burfict style of dirty. Like, needs to be addressed. He needs to be penalized, and anything less than a fine or even like I like, again, as a Panthers fan, I know this might be excessive, but I think it needs to go to an extent of suspension, because the dude made an intentional attempt at injuring a player, and there is no doubt about it. Like, you can argue that when somebody leads with a helmet that they weren't intentionally trying to hurt somebody. But when you watch what Mac Jones did to Brian Burns, that was utterly intentional with the hopes of taking him out of the game. Mm-hmm. That's fucking unacceptable. And in my opinion, suspendable and possibly even, removed from the season or something like that. It needs to be addressed to a pretty heavy, because I mean, Hassan Reddick had talked about it in his presser. He's like, they're out here protecting the offense, but what about the defense? Like, that was a dirty play, and he wants it to be addressed. And I think they need to. And right now, Mac Jones needs to be heavily punished to be able to send a message to the rest of the NFL that just because the offense is being protected doesn't mean that you can start going out there and playing dirty against the defense.
Reminder, Ndamukong Suh was suspended for 1 game for stomping on Aaron Rodgers' leg, and this was the statement from the NFL. You did not respond in the manner of someone who had lost his balance and accidentally contacted another player who was lying on the ground. This illegal contact, specifically the second step and push off with your left foot, clearly could have been unavoided. You unnecessarily stepped on your opponent's unprotected legs as he lay on the ground, unable to protect himself. I would say if you were adjust that for this instance right here, the twist and the additional hold and twist beyond just trying to impede his progress was clear and intentional.
Mm-hmm. It felt like an petulant child who was just mad that he just got his toy taken away. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like somebody who, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And to the point where somebody says that the weak Mac Jones can hurt a big guy. When you're twisting somebody's ankle, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You can fuck somebody's. I mean, these are non-contact injuries. Some of these guys take, So regardless of whether or not he's a weak player or not, he is trying to hurt somebody intentionally and using his body weight to do it. Mac Jones is a fucking coward.
Good point.
CK? All right, CK to Cody. I got all these Codys around me.
I know, right? I used to think my name was original too, and now every other guy is just named Cody, dude. I don't understand. My towel of shame. Hey, I'm gonna keep it consistent, man. You know me. I'm giving it to David Tepper, and I feel like this is the second week in a row. And maybe I'm misusing the towel of shame, but fucking whatever, dude. We have wanted to feel good about this Panthers team for a very long time. We haven't been a playoff team since 2017. And now it looks like we might not be a playoff team anytime in the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. But just another meandering team that can't get out of its own way, with a billionaire owner who now, has an NFL team as his pet passion project for him to just do whatever he wants with and try and bury our traditions like keep pounding, bury Panther legends like Cam Newton, And I just think it's sucker shit, man. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think that we just have to continue to hope that he isn't going to make decision after decision after decision going forward that are going to just ruin the trajectory of the Carolina Panthers. And I'm legit worried about that now, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't before. I certainly am now. So,
I also,
Tep.
I guess, like the caller said in the beginning, right? One of our early callers is that go into that locker room and every person on that offense should raise their hand. Every person gets the towel of shame on that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Every assistant coach, coach of the assistant pimps, all of that mess. Tell you, you know what? I'm almost ready to the point where we like need to shame their immediate family too. God, it's terrible. All right. Come on the C3 Panthers podcast and defend yourself, Sam Darnold. Defend yourself. Dennis Daly. We'd love to have you anyway. I would love to ask y'all some questions. Like, do you see dead people? All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. We got a good week coming up this week. We've got the Tuesday night show. Ed Smith. You can find him at Ed Smith Speaks. Current radio broadcaster not for the Arizona Cardinals, but in the Arizona outlet, former NFL linebacker. It's going to come and help us preview this Arizona Cardinals matchup and try to tell. And you know what? He's so nice. I doubt he'll say what he really wants to say, which is probably should just go ahead and book something else to do that day. That's going to be the Tuesday show. Wednesday, we drop both the beat check where we're going to have David Newton, or that is scheduled, and then as well debate my take, where I'm sure it will be a fiery week between as Cody and Tony square off over a series of topics. Those have all been doing well. And CK, thanks for letting me be your color commentator on this past Madden simulation week. I had a blast.
It was fun. Yeah, we had a good time, and unfortunately, Madden curse hits us again with predicting the win. So we'll continue to hope that we'll change course. It was almost an identical opposite score, which was funny about that. But it's interesting. But yeah, we'll be continuing that trend throughout the week. Just be looking out for that one. Who do we face next week?
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals. Cardinals.
Yep. And so we'll see what they have. Right now, we can't even use what they do this week as a measuring stick because they're not going to have Kyler Murray. So it'll be an interesting game next week, as he's had a little bit of a bye week for Kyler Murray. So we'll see. But you guys can find me anywhere. Just find me online. Go Dizzle Allen.
And Joe Brady, Friday night free for all. You're always invited. Cody's done a good job with that. A lot of people are happy about that show as well. It is a great way for you guys to be a part of the conversation and speak with everybody in Panther Nation. And my reference to this, Joe Brady, right now, my message to you, sir, if in the words of if you've ever seen the movie How High, my man Powder, he said, "You're an assistant pimp. Your great-great-grandpa was an assistant pimp. You ain't even a real pimp. You an assistant pimp." All right, Cody, let's get the hell out of here.
Ladies and gentlemen, also, hey, don't forget this Wednesday night, your favorite beat reporter, Dave Newton. At least Tony's favorite one. Dave Newton will be on the C3 beat check, where we check the beat with Panthers beat reporters. Dave Newton is finally happening Wednesday night. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for the C3 podcast. Until this Tuesday, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.